Tipp today in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tipp Today, 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number if you want to give us a call, and Leanne is producing today. Coming up on the show this morning, Johnny Luby will join us in just a few moments' time. We continue to look back at the factories and industries that sadly closed in the county over the past few decades. Some clarity on Auto Enrolment. Ali hits the streets to find out about the new cigarette charges, and our Friday panel will unpack the hot topics of the week. So all of that and more on the way. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email Tipp today at tippfm.com. Let's have a look at the front pages of some of your newspapers today. The Irish Independent, the lead story there from Fionn Sheehan, and Fionn telling us that there's concern at government level after RTE's chief financial officer quit her role after less than 18 months. Mary Hurley was brought in, you might remember, following the Ryan Tubridy payment scandal, but is now set to leave. And in an email to staff last night, the Director General, Kevin Backhurst, said that she was leaving for a new position outside of RTE. The Irish Times is dominated by a marvellous photograph indeed of 4 astronauts inside the SpaceX Dragon Endeavour on board the recovery ship Shannon in the Pacific Ocean after their space station mission ended a month early in NASA's first medical evacuation. The main story on the Times today: Ireland has lost out on billions of euro in new jobs projects because global companies cannot access electricity and infrastructure, a top government advisor has said. And also reading on the Times today that a key plan for cutting the state's greenhouse gas emissions has been delayed for a second year. The Climate Action Plan will not be published before April, with no firm date provided for when it's likely to appear after that. And also an interesting one from Pat Leahy on the Times today: schools must use the preferred name and pronouns of transgender students, who should also be allowed to use the bathroom of their preferred gender. And that's according to a new guide on the rights of trans people. And the guide is produced by the Irish Council for Civil Liberties with support from the state's human rights watchdog, the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission. That's an interesting one. The Irish Daily Mail, and the lead story on the Mail today: current and former civil servants are paying monthly rents of between €56 to €345 for publicly owned properties, some of which are in the Phoenix Park. But the Office of Public Works has finally confirmed to the Dáil's Public Accounts Committee that annual rents charged on the properties range from as little as €670 to €4,160, which is incredible when you... we can only imagine what the cost of rent is in Dublin, particularly around that Phoenix Park area. The Irish Examiner, the lead story there: food, clothes, health insurance, a cup of coffee, and the price of a pint. All of them are getting more expensive, and in some cases surging at double or triple the rate of general price inflation in the economy, figures have revealed. Also on the Examiner, we're reading from Liz Dunphy's piece that a packed Greek court erupted in cheers last night as a Kerry humanitarian was found not guilty of people smuggling belonging to a criminal organisation and money laundering, almost 8 years after the charges were first brought. So that's a look at what's making headlines today. If you'd like to make comment on any of those stories, 083 311 3311. It is time for Johnny Luby. Good morning to you, Johnny.
Good morning, friend, and good morning to the listeners there of Tipp FM.
And good to talk to you.
Morning.
Good to talk to you today. You're coming into us on Zoom today. It's all getting very technical now, Johnny, I'll tell you.
Am I on something now? No.
You're on something now, all right. You're not on the usual phone line there, but anyway, it's good to hear you. And it has to be Upper Church we talk about first, Johnny.
Oh, yeah, friend. Hey, unbelievable scenes. I mean, a tremendous match. They were up, they were down, and I just reading the the Tipperary Star there, who done a wonderful piece, as indeed the Nationalist, but Gavin leadership in abundance. His late frees in normal time, they were crucial, not least his late equaliser. It was between his own 45 and 65, and he hit it like Rory McIlroy would hit that ball. And he delivered under intense pressure. He has delivered in big games all year long, and he didn't let the team down once again. His brother was tackled or something and just turned the ball to Gavin, and he said to him, "Go for it, Gavin. 'Tis your field."
Wow.
Sort of like the Bull McCabe. But hey, the place was on fire. But I think the Catholic Church opened up to accommodate such a huge amount of people. And like TJ in Cashel hasn't been... TJ is from Upper Church.
Oh, is he? I didn't realise that. Wow, yeah.
Oh, just stuff. His brother Stephen, there he does the cookers and that, a fine old scout as well. But TJ hasn't been seen since. Everybody is looking for him. But, good friend, it was unbelievable, you know, and I'd be saying myself that there's a famous school nursery there in Cork, the North Mon, the whole of the Harty Cup and the whole lot, and I just changed around to say, by none but the church boys will the fight won boys. To very few teams did the church ever yield. And skill back with that lusty will, it leads to triumph on this glorious field. Raise we our flag boys round the old flag trung boys, cheer our heroes in this hard-fought fray. Ball in band lads, see that noble band lads, add fresh laurels to our brow this day. I mean, for Upper Church Dunbayan to win an All-Ireland, little did they think when they drew at Ballina, they beat Gottenhoe in goal by a pint, and a Carty, Borlahan all gave them tremendous games. And that's probably what stood to them in the end. I mean, the guy that's looking after Kilfeacle, the masseur, John Flaherty, who had been with Kilfeacle when they won the All-Ireland, he had been with Connolty, Rossmore when they won the county, and now he's in the middle of Church Dunbayan teams. Tremendous for him and everybody else, the coaches and the guys that the real coaching on the field of play. God above, I'll tell you something. You won't believe this. I went to a funeral in where was it at all? In the Bollingford. And that was of Liam Norton, and sympathies to the Norton family. He was a great driver with us years and years ago, and actually now at the funeral I miss Peg Flanagan. She was the wife of John Flanagan, that wonderful hurler from my Carty Boroughs back in the 60s, and I missed her by a couple of minutes. I hadn't done in 40 years, so I'd have to go and call to say hello to her again. But a fella that was driving me said, "Hey, we'll go to Upper Church." I said, "We have to go to Hayes's first here." Anyway, that's the pub in Urlingford.
Yes.
So I said, "He's a Kilkenny man through and through." And he said his exact word, he'd a towel over the shoulder like the old publicans. He said, "Look, I'm with this or with the cap." That was me. And I said, "Promoting Holland and Kilkenny, lads. I'll tell you what it's like. How you won't do back-to-back." I said, "We have a better chance than any of you now because we won the one last year. So all we have to do is do our best this year and see can we do it." But I took out the map at Tipperary, friend. There was only one way to go to Upper Church if I wanted to go, and that was go through Holy Cross, go through Ballycare, and straight on up to the church. But the big problem was my driver wouldn't go, and that was it. So we remained in Urlingford for a while. But the place, I said to some fella, how we know we're going the right way? He said, "You'll see nothing but bonfires up on the hills." He said, "They're still celebrating up there." But friend, look, Tipp FM done a marvellous commentary. Paul and the lads, they're brilliant because they went hoarse. From describing the victory, you know, and for Tipperary and for even Upper Church themselves and their families and the whole lot. And young Phelan to get injured was a huge loss to them, and look, our hearts went out to him, and with the camera zoomed in on him, he should have been playing, but he received a big injury, and that we wish him the best of luck in getting health and everything else. But it was wonderful. Look, hey, you could talk about it every week, but fine, I'm going to get up there, but if anybody sees TJ, tell him get back behind the bar inside and TJ runs with him badly. You know.
Well, I think you have plenty of time getting up there, Johnny, because the celebrations, I would imagine, will continue for a few months where that is concerned. Anyway, what about the seniors?
Fair play to them.
What about the seniors then, Johnny?
Yeah, the seniors had a victory over Kerry. I suppose Waterford had beaten Kerry by 35 points. They would have had to beat them by 36 or 7 points. But look, they didn't. They just went and done what they had to do. That was it. And Kerry put up a better display against Tipp than they did against Waterford. But look, Tipperary have their minds on other things out there. I suppose the league and players. Strength and condition and the whole lot. They know exactly what they have to do to get up to the speed of the game like last year. But it's a long season, Fran, when you look at maybe, I think this Saturday week they play Galway in Tulloch, and they'll probably be shot a few players. But that's where the panel of players comes in, and that's so Mr. Carr will have to do the best he can with what he has, and that's it. Yeah, look, Fran, that's the way that went. And in rugby, of course, Leinster had a big win last weekend in a tremendous game. Munster and Connacht both put up great battles. I didn't think Munster put up a battle like that. But as a result of that, then they have to play Castles tomorrow evening. That game is on television. That's in Thome Park, and that it all depends what kind of a team Castles will send. Sometimes the French don't send their top teams because their own league draws 50 and 60,000 people to the games, and they mightn't have a huge interest in the Heineken Cup. But it's all to play for, even with Castles. They're still in it, so if they do beat Munster, they're going to the last 16. And just to go back to the hurling, Tulloch CBS and Nina CBS in the semi-final of the Bruce Harty Cup. That game is on in Templederry tomorrow. I think it's around 12:30. You can't go unless you have a ticket, from what I gather, so there's no, because it's confined to 2,000 people now. Templederry will be rocking tomorrow. Of course, Tipp FM do the commentary again. Paul and the lads. Nina would be the slight favourites, whilst Tulloch won the All-Ireland last year and the Cup. They're probably missing 4 or 5 of those players. The rest of them have to stand up now and be counted. But Nina, the experts and the so-called neutrals tell me that Nina will be favourite. So the game worth switching on there tomorrow around 12:30.
Very good. Racing then in Thurles. Is that happening on Sunday, Johnny?
That's right, Jeff, and that's happening this Sunday. We have 2 Grade 2 races, which is the higher class of the top horses, sponsored by Carey's Glass of Nina and the Horse and Jockey, of course, who are tremendous sponsors. They have the best dressed as well. And also, I asked the girl of the Maloney, I said, would you have a tattoo competition? I said, Frank Curry got one. She said, I heard you saying it. He got it on near his private. She said, we can't look down there. No, I said, he got it on his arm. But Frank, National Star or South Tip Echo, or even Stubbs Gazette could be got this week in Sullivan's shop in Golden. Your photos, one woman told me that, she said, look at Frank Curry. I never saw him in my life, she said. And I said, what did you do? She says, I framed him and I put him up beside the thing of the Sacred Heart. So now you're beside the Sacred Heart on our wall. She just loves you.
Fair play to her. And thanks to young Aoife Sheehan for doing the piece as well. Young journalist with the Nationalists there, and she was really courteous and lovely girl.
I'm going to get it now, you know.
Are you?
I'm certainly going
Where would you get the tattoo, and what would it be of, Johnny?
I get it on one of my cheeks. On my face now.
And what would you get on there? What?
I'd get a miniature thing of a car from a photo of it from Slattery's in Puckane, who can sponsor your Tipp FM.
Yes.
I'll get it from them.
I see. I thought you might get an image of Tony Cooney on it, or...
No, my hair wouldn't be big enough if you get my gift. But anyway, friend, Borlahan do at a GA club, the draw for a car. Are you with me?
Yes.
It's on Patrick's night, and it's going brilliant. But if you buy the usual, if you buy the 3 tickets for €50 for Tony Lacey, he said he'd give you a pint for each ticket. But with the price of the pint now, I must contact him, because the pints are going up, and the value of the ticket still remains the same at €50. So I don't know whether Lacey is going to go through his thing. But anyway, look, buy it off Lacey.
I still haven't come out in the GAA draw after buying that ticket from Nellie O'Connor for about the 4th year in a row, I would say.
I know, yeah. Nellie is unlucky. And that's it.
So am I. Well, there's a trad night happening that you want to talk to us about as well, isn't there?
That's right, Jeff. And for the Sean Meehan Trad Music Night, it's in Ollie's in New Inn, Saturday the 24th. It's to help to raise funds for Tom's cabin. There'll be huge crowds there. I think the boys are coming down to Rebel Hearts and that kind of a thing. So it should be a fantastic night.
So that's Saturday week, Johnny, isn't it?
Saturday week in Ollie's in New Inn. I asked them to know. They said I'd be 100% welcome. Tom the Tooth Man, what you call him?
Tom Hennessy,
Tom Hennessy, yeah, the Tooth Man. Tom said to me, he said, you can come on. I said, will I accordion, flute? I said, will I, the banjo, whatever else. Johnny, he said, you just come on. He says, fiddle away. He says, bring the fiddle. So I said, right, that's what I'll be going. And of course, last Saturday I met a woman asking for you. I went up to see the hunt in Balloch, and my granddaughter was on her pony, Dandy. She was well tugged out, and a whole lot of huge crowd there. And of course, we adjourned to Mary Gleeson's.
Yes.
Mary Gleeson was asking for you.
How is she at all? How is she?
Yeah, so she's one of the finest scouts you could meet.
What a great pub, Johnny. It's a great pub, isn't it? It really is.
I think you played there, actually.
I did indeed, myself and Noel Taylor and Tony and all the lads. Yeah, we often played there. But yeah, it's been a long time.
My God.
I'll have to drop in soon.
Yeah, and Fran, of course, I can't forget the bingo in Rossgrave. They actually rang and texted and they said a sincere thanks for mentioning the bingo in Rossgrave, which is every Sunday night, 4,000 payout. It's in the Winston at Tira Hall. It's online, Rossgrave Bookface or Facebook. If you don't get it on one, you'll get it on the other. And it's for the Rossgrave GA Club. A huge crowd is playing it now, so the very best of luck to them. We'd like to say hello to a fella called Rory Ryan of the Milestone.
I know him well. Yeah,
he gets on the TFI bus every Friday morning, and the driver salutes him, and he just says, turn on Tipp FM, he said, till I hear your man. So that's the first thing he does. Friend, last Sunday I was coming back from a Greyhound meeting, a place called Seven Houses, and we came to the Miners' Rest in Ballingarry, and a grand place. Yeah. And there they had a sign up, friend, just that said, Dear Lord, I pray for wisdom to understand the man, love to forgive him, and patience for his moods. Because, Lord, if I pray for strength, I'll just beat the living daylights out of him. Anyway, friend, I adjourned then to Ambies.
Ambies?
It's that new pub. I think it's Noonan's. They were on the Tipp FM one morning there a couple of weeks ago, which a wonderful local. Yeah, it's brilliant to see it, you know.
Is that the same pub now? Because my understanding was the pub was still called Noonan's. Have we the same pub by one?
Noonan's. Yes, no, there's not too many pubs in Ballingarry. Well, somebody might ring in and tell us if Ambies is written on the door anyway, because I did take a good look before we went in, because I said I mightn't be able to read it when I came back out. But anyway, friend, I got a new pair of shoes the other day.
Did you?
I did, from a crowd in Tiptown called McMahon's.
Ah, very good, very good. So you were in with Willie and all the gang there, were you?
Hey, and I listened attentively this morning. A smashing pair of shoes. He saw me right, and that's so. I said, right, I better give them a quick mention, because he took off an extra couple of bob. Friend, I was wheeling through Cashel yesterday when herself arranged that the bar on the stove was after breaking.
Oh.
Some bit of a bear I went into. Yeah. Didn't I wheel it into stove fireplaces to a grand crowd in there, and described it and the whole lot to get me out the bear, and this girl came out of the office. She says, "Are you the fella on Tipp FM?" I said, "I am, yeah." So, and my voice, she said, "You'll never do in a bloody bank robbery anyway."
Where is that, Johnny? Where is that?
It's right beside Mother Hubbard's, the crowd that sponsor a lot of the matches on
yes,
Tipp FM.
In Cashel, okay.
Yeah, right beside them. So it's a grand place. Just call in and say that you helped me on the bloody radio. Friend, what else is there now?
Feathered Players, they're starting on Monday, aren't they? Yeah.
That's right, yeah, friend. It's in the Abbey Mill Theatre, which is 100 years old. It starts at 8 o'clock Monday night, a cast of 10, presenting A Widow's Paradise. The producer is Marion Gilpin. Mm-hmm. There's 6 nights starting at 8 o'clock Monday the 19th. It's about 5 women who go away for a weekend to get away from the men folk. But things don't go according to plan.
Whoops. Is one of them called Catherine?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. One of them is called anyway. She's married to a fella. I don't know his name, but his nickname is The Weed.
Okay, all right.
That's I know.
Very good. So tickets on sale for that at the moment, Johnny, I guess.
Yeah, you can log into it as well. And of course, the girl that told me, she's a niece of Mick Mackey's. You know that the being casually drives the lorries, and Mick Mackey, the fine house scout.
Of course I do, yeah.
Yeah, you do. Everybody knows Mick. And that. There was something else I was going to talk about. Oh, yeah, Fran. Just heard the television there a few minutes. But incidentally, I'm sitting here now on the couch with long johns on me, waiting for the fire to start up. So, as the fellow says...
A vision of loveliness there, Johnny, I would imagine.
Aside for sore eyes. Hey, there's a thing in America called the dry wedding now, because... normally in America, the couple that are getting married, they would pay for the free bear, but now it's gone huge in price. So they're having this dry wedding now is the modern thing in America.
God.
And your man asked her, would it work in Ireland? Jesus, Fran, I'd say it wouldn't work in Ireland. So everybody goes around half scuttered, don't they, have weddings and every bloody thing.
Well, it's the only reason they go to weddings, largely, I would imagine. There's something at the back of my mind. I think we did a piece a couple of years ago about dry weddings and stuff. Yeah, I think they're here, Johnny. You won't be invited, needless to say, but, you know.
No, I've been at a fair few, and they do give it a fair rap, all the lads that are going and the lassies and the whole lot. But, Frank, it's an absolute scandal that the Guinness has gone up in price and the 0-0 has gone up by as much more. I mean, the publicans are under savage pressure.
Yes.
The government have enough out of it with VAT and everything else, but they don't give two continental hoots. Like, when that thing came in for the pension fund,
yes,
this £1.50 in the 100 for the employee.
This is auto enrolment you're talking about, is it?
Well, I haven't looked at a pension. Eventually, it is this pension. Eventually, when you live horse and get grass, if you live to be 65 or 70 or whatever the case may be. Yeah. My grandmother, a lot of messing up in Mount Canaan and Borrisalee, she used to say, £100 left up to bury me, and sweet damn all left to keep me alive. So that's the way it is. That's the way that thing will happen now. But you see, the employers. I'm not about the employers, because the employers are wonderful people out there. When you have the likes of transport crowds there and they're having 20 drivers working for them at £1.50 to 100, that's 30 euro. And if the drivers are on 700 a week on average, that is €210 the employer has to find. So what can he do? Obviously, only charge it to the extra for deliveries and all of that. And as a result of that, then the shopkeeper, who is the employer again, like any of the shops out there like Liam Sullivan's in Golden have 4 or 5 people working, and they have to find the money for them, so they're going to hit the ordinary Joe soaps like myself. So everything goes up in price, and that is one of the reasons of it.
Well, we'll be talking about that a little later on in the programme, Johnny, because there's still a bit of confusion around that whole auto enrolment thing. So we'll talk to Keith Dundon about that later on and clear it all up for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, but frankly, the next, anyway, look, it's all a matter. Somebody better do something about it.
Will you wish Silvermines the best of luck? One of our listeners on, Marie Ford, on to know if you'd wish Silvermines the best of luck in Limerick in the Munster semi-final. And Amby's recently opened in Ballingarry in South Tip, but Noonan's reopened recently in Ballingarry in North Tip. So that's where the confusion is, Johnny.
And now it's confused me rightly, because I was in the wrong Ballingarry then.
You need to talk to that driver of yours, you know that.
Christ above tonight. Listen to me as this is. But anyway, look, hey, they're two grand establishments, friend, and long may they remain. And I did find out something, and it is confirmed with them Greyhound lads above in Gurtnahoe that I met at the funeral of Liam Norton. Possibly some names that are tall, a couple of brothers there. But anyway, there is 2 pubs still open in Grange, which is about 3 or 4 miles from Gurtnahoe, and they're Tipperary pubs. There's one for you now.
Wow. Okay. Well,
you didn't ever know that.
I did, but sure, I don't know. The longer I live, the less I know, I'm beginning to think, Joe. but there you are.
Yeah, Joe.
Before we wrap up, did you want to pass on sympathies to some people?
Oh God, friend. Yeah, look to all the people, the Nortons there and Liam used to tune in every morning there, and our sympathies to them on the death of Liam, and of course to the many others as well. We had the O'Learys, and we have Tom Shea, friend, in Bailey's in
Bailey's. Yeah.
Oh God, friend, I believe Dermot Delaney and all the people there. absolutely stunned to think that gone from their midst now is a smashing guy called
great personality, great with people in there, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, and I was at the funeral the other night in Clonoulty, and our sympathies to them. But if you log into the Facebook, if you log into the Facebook of Bailey's Hotel, you'll see Tom inside the counter on this music session, and the Parting Glass is the song that's sung with it, and did he enjoy the life and enjoy the crack? And we certainly all would like to say a sincere thanks for sharing Tom with us, and a big buddy of Dan Quirk and him and the Butcher and Golden and all the people around somebody would say Clonoulty, but it's Clonoulty Rossmore. But look, the best of luck to the Silver Mines as well. I wonder if that girl related to Jason Ford, the wonderful hurler. She must be.
Could easily be.
Silver Mines, yeah.
All right, Johnny, I must wrap things up, but great to talk to you as always, Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you go to Tullis on Sunday, it's free admission, number one. And if you produce your elb or your arm at
my tattoo
just at the counter.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you still on the dry?
I'm still on the dry, Johnny. Can you believe it? Yeah. This weekend now is going to be a big test for me, I think.
Where are you playing?
I'm not playing. I have a few nights off, so that's what I mean. It's going to be a big test. So.
Oh, yes, and we have to go around sometime together. Just people don't believe that you're in existence.
Sometimes I don't believe it myself. Johnny, look after yourself. Take it easy.
Right. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's the great Johnny Luby speaking to us there from the Fourpenny Road. All right, let me take a break. Back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, this week we've been looking back at the factories and industries that sadly closed in the decades past around the county, and the reaction and response has been absolutely incredible, with so many of you getting in touch to share your own memories. Well, Liam Cook worked in 3 factories in Thurles over those years, and he joins me now. Liam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran. How are you?
I'm well, Liam, and lovely to talk to you today, and thank you so much for agreeing to come on with us. When did you start working in Thurles, and where, Liam?
Yeah, I was 18 when I started my first factory, which is the one in Thurles. That was a mineral factory that made red lemonade, white lemonade, but they were in the hard glass bottles at the time.
Yes.
Not the plastic ones. And we made orange and Coke and soda water and tonic water. Then we joined up the C&C. We used to deliver around places,
Yeah.
The work involved a lot of, we had about 30 lorries on the road. We'd load the lorries, 15 of them, and then we'd load them when they'd come back, and we'd just deliver them. We used to deliver to hotels, pubs, Tesco's, Dunn's, restaurants.
So you were very busy. Can you remember what year you started with Dewan's?
I think it was around 1978.
About 78 or so, right. Big changes since then.
Big changes and sad changes, and no work involved in Thurles now, no factories being replaced.
And at what stage did Dewan's sell up then? Was that the mid-80s, was it?
Yeah, I think it was around the mid-80s, because I gave 10 years there.
Yes.
And I don't know who took it over, but still going anyway.
And where did you go then, Liam?
I applied for a job then in the sugar factory, for the campaign.
Sure, yeah.
And I looked for a job, and I was very friendly with Dr. Larry O'Connor, and he was in a department called the Research, which is a laboratory department. So I worked in a laboratory there, and what I was doing there, I was on one of these big machines testing the beet for the farmers the nitrogen and the potassium and all that. And if it was over 18, the soil was good and the farmers were good and happy because they had good beet and they got better money, you know.
It's very interesting. I didn't realise there was that whole laboratory background to the factory. That must have been interesting work, Liam.
It was very interesting, and it was very... used to come out every morning and say, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I depend my life on you, and, you know, because the farmers depend on good results, and, you know, he was so happy, and there was a great laboratory people there, and they were very experienced, and, you know, it was lovely, and the farmers were lovely to work for.
Can you remember getting the news then that it was closing, Liam?
I didn't. It kept it very, 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 very quiet, but then I think there was a meeting held, and they said that they will be closing very, very soon, and we were all dejected and upset, and because there was a lot of couples there and a lot of partners there working, like, and they depended on that because they started around the campaign now itself started September to January, February, March, April, and you had all that money, and you had all that money for Christmas, which was very, very handy.
God, yeah, I can well imagine, indeed. So when it finally closed its doors, you weren't one of the few people who stayed with the factory then, were you? You had to move on, Liam.
I had to move on. I was, I was 18 when I started the ones, 12 years there. Then I was 30 when I started in the factory. I was about 45 then. And then I looked for a job in Mullinex. And I said, in order to get this job, because Mullinex was a French factory.
Yes, this was GMX, it was known as, was it?
GMX.
Yeah.
So what I needed to do was get good CVs worked up. I got 2 excellent CVs, and they took me on straight away. They said, this man has a lot of background. He wants to work.
Yeah.
We'll employ him. So I went for an interview, got the job. My job there was, quality control and the quality of the products that we were making, like kettles and blenders and all like that.
Mm. And how long did you spend there?
I guess 10 years there, and there were dejections there too. But the good thing about it was that we got a redundancy from both places, from the sugar factory and the GMX, because that kept us going until we got something else. But now I'm just 60 now, and I do a bit of painting, decorating, and all like that, and cutting grass and that. But I'll be soon, slowing down a bit.
And looking around the town then, and I mean, obviously you remember where, a lot of these factories were operating at the same time, so there was a great amount of employment, and I presume, that resulted in the pubs being full and in the shops being full. It's a very different situation now, isn't it, Liam? It
is, because as I was going through the town the other day, there was 3 or 4 pubs closed. There was I don't know, did you know, Lowndes, they were a news agency.
Sure.
Wilson's, they were a news agency.
Yeah.
And Scanlon's, they were a news agency. And they were all small shops, and they were affected. And they were all closed down. And that was sad, like.
Yeah. And did people feel let down by politicians at that stage? Or can you remember that, Liam?
Oh, they did. They were very upset. And there was a lot of meetings, and they rang him, and look, I think that Michael Kennedy was in office at that time.
Yeah.
And he said he'd probably best, and we had meetings and talks with him, but unchanged. Like, even we had a textile factory, we had Phoenix Yarns, we had Aaron Foods. All of them are gone now. We had Jove's factory, and that's gone as well. So just going from bad to worse.
Yeah, and it's such a pity because the town ticks so many boxes with the railway station there and the access to the motorway. But I suppose the big issue has to be traffic and traffic congestion in the town.
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you view it, Liam?
I view that because since they changed the roads, it's hectic. Like as you go down there by the new Lidl, there's a big, you could be waiting there 10 minutes with the traffic lights, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, if somebody involved in an industry came into the town to have a look at the town, they could easily be sitting in traffic there for ages, and I'm sure that would colour their decision.
Oh, it would, definitely. Definitely. It would have to, Fran, yeah.
Yeah, which is now there's talk about a bypass and all of that in the coming years. So hopefully that will come to pass. But you have fond memories of working in so many of those places, Liam.
I have great memories because I was I could find that there was something lacking in the factories. So I got 2 or 3 people with me, and we had a meeting, and we started a big social club, and I was in charge of it. And come Christmas, we had a little social for the parents of the children. Well, we had a little social for the children, and I was Santa Claus. What a job!
Brilliant.
And we had the Pink Panther, and we had Mickey Mouse, and we had presents for him. We had a little disco, and took photos. Oh, you have to take your photo with Santa, and you're the way you'd be. Great excitement.
Isn't it lovely? And that's what we've been hearing over the past few days, you know, that to all of these factories there was great camaraderie, loyalty to the brand, but as you say, there was that social aspect to it as well. Yeah,
what I organised then was deductions from our wages to go on a tour. We took a boat over to Wales, about 80 of us, wives and husbands and couples, and we stayed 4 nights in a hotel. We took in a few shows, and we went around the town. We went into night pubs and the Irish pubs, and we played pool, you know.
So again, lovely memories there. Liam, it was lovely to talk to you and lovely to hear those memories. Do look after yourself. And I hope we can hear you on the programme again soon, Liam. Thank you.
Anytime. And a Happy New Year to you, Frank.
And many happy returns to you and to yours as well, Liam. Thank you for that. We'll take a break. We're back with more in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1-800-938-007.
Now, I think it's Jamie on to me to tell me that my old friend Peter Burke is playing for dancing tonight at Hollandafela in Cashel, and Peter is terrific. I'm sure it should be a great night there. And as well as that, if you're in the north of the county, Joe Cleary is appearing in Laura there, along with Sean and Bear and all the gang up there, and it should be a lovely night as well, so we wish them well. Now, earlier this week we spoke about a new charge on the way for shop and pub owners. In recent days it's been confirmed that from the 2nd of next month, anybody selling cigarettes or vapes will need an annual licence from the HSE. Now, the cost is €1,000 per premises for tobacco and €800 for nicotine products. Now, that means that businesses selling both will face a yearly bill of €1,800. But many small shop owners, as you can imagine, are saying that the fee is crippling and warning that it could be yet another nail in the coffin for rural businesses already under huge pressure. Well, our reporter Ali travelled to Clogheen, Burncourt and Ballyporeen to get the views of shop owners. And she first stopped off in Clogheen to speak to Colin Burke in the XL shop there.
Well, basically, as it stands now, they're trying to put in the €1,000 licence fee for cigarettes and €800 then for the disposal of vapes.
So it'll be €1,800 if you're selling both?
Correct, yeah.
And what was it previously?
Zero.
Nothing?
No.
Now, I know the HSE are saying this is a way of getting people off smoking and vapes, but like for small rural shops like yourselves, what does that mean? Well,
basically, it's an extra €1,800 that you have to make, and it's another licence fee on top of your alcohol and licence fees and everything else that goes with it. And as it is, businesses are up against it already.
Yeah.
Rates, every single thing going. So minimum wage, all the auto enrolment, is just another tax, and that's it.
There's a lot of shops now saying they're just going to stop stocking cigarettes altogether because they just can't afford it. Is that something you're considering, or would it even be an option?
I don't think I'd stop selling them. I don't know what will happen with it. there'll probably be an extra cost on it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like this is only in the early stages, so I haven't heard much about it in the last while. I think it was being opposed to, but I didn't hear anything since now.
Yeah, as far as I know, there was a High Court challenge taken against it by the Association of Newsagents in December, but that failed. So unless that's appealed now. Did it come out of the blue? Because it came out of the blue for us, or did you know this was coming?
I heard about it probably a year ago.
Right.
And since then, I think agencies have been lobbying against it and all that, but like I said, I haven't heard anything about it since, so that's kind of it.
So it's just another charge on the...
I definitely wouldn't like to see it anyway.
I'm here in Burncourt with Maureen Creed. Maureen, just to remind us, how long have you been here in Burncourt with the shop?
A long time. I cannot tell you. I couldn't. My father, my grandfather, I'm the third generation.
And you're the only shop in Burncourt, aren't you?
Yes, yeah.
So this charge then, €1,000 for cigarettes, 800 with vapes. So if you're having both, it's €1,800.
Correct.
This came out of nowhere for you, didn't it?
Well, we got a letter sometime last year. It's a long time ago, and it could have been early last year, and nothing since.
Yeah.
I thought it was gone until I spoke to the cigarette man last week, and he said, no, it's coming into effect on the 28th of January.
My God, so you only have a few weeks to plan
That's
for
all,
it.
yeah.
What does that mean for you then, 1,800 that you'll have to pay?
Well, it's an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
The vapes, I don't mind about them. I could get rid of them, but the cigarettes, a lot of people here in the morning, they can't do without a cigarette. They call in here. I mean, they could, as somebody said, well, they could say, well, I'll go down now tomorrow to get the bread and the milk, but she's no cigarette, so I'll have to go elsewhere. It's as simple as that.
So you fear then it'll bring people into the towns to get the, the other messages?
It's the small man again, they're hitting the whole time. Small man, that's it. They don't want the small shops, it looks like.
Do you think because they are on the decline now?
Well, they are definitely, but would you blame them?
I know.
I mean, €1,000, and I don't mind about the vapes now, but €1,000 for cigarettes is a lot of money from a small shop.
Yeah.
Dead money, like, that's it, gone.
I know there was a court action taken late last year by the Association of Newsagents against this. Now, that wasn't successful, unfortunately. But I know we have a lot of Tipperary TDs who listen to the show. What message would you have for them on this?
Well, there's nothing coming from anybody because, as I thought, it was gone. By the way, nobody said anything. There's no TDs. There's nobody doing anything about it. No, I know cigarettes are not good for your health, but people are going to get them.
Yeah.
They will get them wherever they'll get them.
Yeah.
They will get them. They can't give them up, and that's it. Simple as that.
Because you will have people listening to this who'll say that's a good thing, get rid of those cigarettes and get people off them. But
Definitely they will,
the effect it'll have on someone like you.
Yeah. But even I know I wouldn't smoke. I don't smoke, but I know for people who do, they just can't give them up.
Yeah.
And that's it. They will get them.
Yeah.
But all the big supermarkets will have them probably anyway, because they can afford them.
Yeah. So what message would you have for your Tipp TDs?
Well, I mean, I just think it's a horrible thing that they're doing to us, because it is the small man they're hitting again. And I mean, people at this hour of their life who smoke, we don't give them to under 18s. They don't believe us, but we don't give them. But those people, at this hour of their life, they can make up their own mind.
Yeah.
It's like in any state that they're being told what to do. Simple as that.
So are you in the position now where you have to decide, will I get rid of the cigarettes or put myself under that financial pressure? Do you know what you're going to do yet?
I said at the beginning, no, I couldn't afford to pay it. Now, there'll be nothing around me because the pubs, they're all giving it up.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what to do.
Yeah,
I simply do it. It's just a situation I don't know what to do at the moment.
Because we need to tell listeners as well, this is not just shops, it's pubs that'll have to pay this as well. Yeah.
Everybody.
So as far as you're aware around Burncourt, the pubs won't pay it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So then it's left to me. So I don't know what
Last
to do.
woman standing.
Yeah, now you said it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So that's it.
Hello, I'm Pat Russell from Ballypreen on Church Street, the shop, Russell Shop.
Pat, I was talking to a number of shop owners today. Maureen Creed in Burncourt particularly very concerned about these new charges coming in for cigarettes. She said it kind of came on her all of a sudden, even though there was wind of it last year, but nothing really happened. Is that your position on it, or did you know this was coming?
I heard about it last year sometime, but I didn't think much of it at the time, and I thought it was going to go on the supplier, not on the seller. And I found out only today and yesterday that it does go on the supply or the seller also. And it's ridiculous that we have to pay the same amount to Tesco's and all the big supermarkets, the multinationals, for the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And it's another nail in the coffin for rural Ireland shops.
Explain why that is, because I think people will listen to it and say, but sure, it just means people won't be able to get cigarettes in the shop. Isn't that a good thing?
You need cigarettes in the shop. It's a staple for shops in small communities. Like if I stop selling cigarettes, Maureen stops, and Claheen stops, they'll have to go to Care or Clonmel to get a pack of cigarettes. And if the government wants, my opinion, if the government wants to bring down the amount of people smoking cigarettes, this is the wrong way. This is going to bring down shops instead of the people smoking. You know, the education needs to be about more. So education, people need to be educated more about the danger of cigarettes. Yeah. They put a picture on a pack of cigarettes. No one looks at that. If they put a little piece of paper inside of it, or they advertise it more on the news and whatever with the dangers of cigarettes, educate them at lower level in schools. Yeah.
But even so, I mean, statistics will show you that less and less people are smoking all the time anyway, so it is being wound down gradually.
It's being wound down, but like people say, I remember when the price of cigarettes was going to go up to £7, and people said, I'm never smoking again. Those people are still smoking.
Remind us, how much is a packet of fags now?
€19 for the average pack.
Wow.
For 20 cigarettes, which is an absolutely astronomical thing. And I don't ever remember anybody, none of my customer base ever gave up cigarettes because of the price. But they gave it up, the ones that gave it up because they wanted to. It wasn't the price. I've never had anybody that was successfully gave them up because of the price.
So now we've shop owners like yourself who are in the position where they either give up selling cigarettes altogether or having to take on this huge fee of licence fee of €1,000. Do you know what you're going to do?
Well, put it this way. If I stop selling cigarettes, I might as well close the door. And I'm not the only small shop like that. Because people come in for cigarettes. They come in in the morning, which is crazy. They come in the morning, they buy a pack of cigarettes in the newspaper for over €20. I think it's crazy. But at the same time, it's a staple for the shop. It's like milk. It's like butter. They come in for cigarettes. You know, I'll take on the thing, but I don't think it's fair of paying the same amount that the Tesco's or the bigger shops are paying the same amount.
Yeah.
Like they sell 100 times, if not 1,000 times more cigarettes than I would sell a week.
Yeah.
Or not only myself, but Maureen and Colum, you know, small shops. We're just selling them to the locals. They're selling them to a vast range. And we have to pay the same fine. I call it a fine because that's how I see it, as a fine. For giving a service to people. I don't like the service. I'm an ex-smoker. But at the same time, it's a people's choice.
Yeah.
You know, and I will take it on, but I don't think it's right. I think it's completely wrong what they're doing to the small shops again. The rural Ireland, it's another nail in the coffin of the small shops.
That's our alley out and about for us there. What do you think of that charge? We would love to have your opinion on that. 083 311 3311. News and information's coming up.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the second hour of Tip Today. Now, one of our listeners on to tell us that the IWA Wheelchair Basketball National Cup Final is happening this evening at 6 p.m. and Southeast Swifts has two squad members from Tipperary, according to this piece of correspondence with us. And I also hear that it is being televised tonight on basketballireland.TV. Now, there's a cost to that, but if you want to look that up, it is available to you this evening. Now, Auto Enrolment, a system designed to help workers save for their retirement automatically, was introduced this month. Instead of actively choosing to join a pension scheme, employees are automatically enrolled by their employer. To talk to us about this, I'm glad to be joined by Keith Dundon, who is Head of Financial Services at SYS Financial. Good morning to you, Keith.
Good morning, Fran.
Good to talk to you today, and thank you for coming on with us. Keith, many employees still don't fully understand how the scheme works or how it compares to other pension options. Would you agree there's a bit of confusion?
Absolutely, Fran. I think we had been speaking with employers and employees throughout 2025, and because auto enrolment had been probably kicked down the road a few times, people didn't really look at it. Number one, be it employer or employee, but number two, it was then brought in, and I don't think there's much of information shared from the likes of certain bodies and things like that to make everyone fully aware of it. So yes, I would agree there is still a degree of uncertainty about what it is and the key details and how it applies to each individual.
Could you sum it up for us, Keith?
I can try my best for sure, Fran. So look, the first thing is it's a new government-led pension savings scheme, which is mandating eligible employees to be automatically enrolled in a workplace pension by their employer, unless they choose to opt out. So they'll be put in if they're eligible, and then they can choose to opt out. The people who will be eligible is anyone working with a company, aged between 23 and 60, earning over 20,000 gross salary, and that is including any emoluments. But the most important thing is that they're not actively part of a workplace pension scheme or a private pension scheme through their workplace. And what that means, Fran, is that they don't have pension contributions going through their payroll. So if they meet that age, earnings and pension status criteria, they would have been automatically enrolled from the 1st of January just gone in 2026. And then after that, there is contributions from the government, contribution from the employer, and a contribution from the employee. And the contributions are 1.5% of salary for the employee, 1.5% for the employer, and 0.5% from the government. And what's happening then for the next while, as long as you're part of it, is the monies are invested in your name, in your pot, and up until retirement age.
And the percentages you gave us there, my understanding, Keith, but correct me if I'm wrong, is they're applicable up until 2028, and then they increase.
Correct. So the contributions, Fran, will be phased upwards. So from year 1 to 3, so our start date was the 1st of January 2026. So from that day until the end of 3 years, the contributions will be, as I just stated there. From years 4 to 6, it will go up to 3% employee, 3% employer, 1% from the government. And then year 7 to 9, it goes to 4.5% employee, 4.5% employer, 1.5% state. And then from year 10 onwards, it's 6%, 6%, 2%. So it will be phased up over time.
So by 2035, according to my dreadful math, we're talking about roughly, what, 14% of gross earnings, is it, at that point?
Correct, yeah. So it'll be 14% inclusive of the employee, employer and government at that stage of 2026, we'll call it.
Right.
Or 2036, apologies.
So what happens then? Is it after 6 months or something you have an opt-out option? Is it?
So up until the end of the year, and information was being given to us really as a broker in the marketplace, dribs and drabs, but we were getting questions. But the initial thought would be that you would be pulled in January this month, and then you wouldn't be able to opt out until 6 months had passed. Now, that has slightly changed, but it's not deemed as an opt-out. But if you join a workplace pension scheme, so a private workplace pension scheme that your employer sets up for you, and you have deductions going through your payroll, the system, NERSA, the body set up on the government side, will actually see that you have pension contributions now started for your workplace pension. So they will deem you not eligible for auto enrolment with the government, and you'll be basically pulled out of the government one, and you'll just stay in your workplace pension at work, and you should be due a refund then if there's any overlaps. So that wouldn't be an opt-out, but it is a way of obviously coming out of one and going into the other in how it works, Fran.
How does it compare? I mean, if I have my private pension, Keith, I can examine my portfolio, I can change my portfolio, but I know who I'm investing with and in. Have I that sort of opportunity where this is concerned?
Yeah, and just before I suppose get into the detail, just for the listeners to clarify, in terms of a private pension, some people may have heard of the likes of a personal pension,
Yes.
a PRSA, and a workplace pension that they have. So they're all essentially your private workplace pensions. The government model is separate. So if people had their own private pension, it does differ a lot, Fran. Number one, the big thing is if you had a private pension, you get tax relief on contributions that you pay in there.
Yes.
So if you're on the low rate of tax, you get a 20% relief. If you're on the high rate of tax, you get a 40% relief. In auto enrolment with the government system, you don't get a tax relief on your contribution, but the state is doing a 0.5% contribution. And through our calculations and looking at it, that would work out at about a 25% relief. So for a low rate taxpayer, you're getting a marginal benefit. But for a higher rate taxpayer, you're disadvantaged for the relief that you would get. And outside of that, then with your private pension, you would have choice. You mentioned there investment, which is hugely, hugely important. You have a lot more choice with your own private pension. The government model has 3 fund managers, Amundi, Irish Life Investment Managers and BlackRock, and that's basically the default. You don't have any other choice outside of that. In your own private pension, you can do additional contributions up to certain limits. In auto enrolment, you cannot do it. And then I think lastly, the most important piece here for your listeners is in a private workplace pension, you've flexibility with when you can access it and how you can draw down the benefits in the most tax efficient way. Whereas in auto enrolment, you cannot access it until state pension age, which is 66, and there's only one option available to you at retirement as well. So flexibility is a big word, really, that your listeners would probably want, Fran, and that's what a private pension seems to do versus auto enrolment.
If your employer is hugely impressed with you, Keith, and says, okay, that's great, I'd like to pay more into this auto enrolment pension. Now, I know they can do that where a private situation is concerned, but can they do that? Can they pay more?
No, is the straight answer.
Okay.
In auto enrolment. That is one of the restrictions. It is basically the rates that I would have provided to you there at the outset. That is all that's allowable at the moment.
It's interesting. I know some professional bodies as well raise some issues about privacy and GDPR and that. Have you come across that critique of this, Keith?
To be honest, we haven't from employers. Employers did have a little bit of speculation in terms of how are they basically going to take the monies from us, number one, as employer, as in the contributions, and then how will we know what to deduct? How will they know who's eligible, etc.? But from our understanding, the system that was set up, NERSA as the body, and there's a My Future Fund portal, etc., they link in with revenue. So they obviously would have I suppose can't speak for them, but a data sharing agreement there with each other in terms of revenue information coming from the employer to the body as well. And therefore then they'd be able to review eligibility, make I suppose send through what they need to be deducted and what contributions are owed. But we haven't had it widespread, but I could definitely acknowledge that there would be queries.
I can imagine, indeed. Is there also a danger, I'm just thinking from your point of view with SYS, Keith, that people might think, sure, I'm sound now, I'm paying into a pension. I mean, would this be sufficient on its own to ensure a comfortable retirement, I suppose? Or would you have to look at other strategies?
First, I would say it's a huge benefit for the overall landscape of pensions and a lot for individuals. I think pension coverage in the private sector is at about 35%, which is really, really low. So that means there's nearly 65% of people that will rely solely on the state pension. So this is a great talking point to improve awareness on pensions in general. And I think the benefit for us, I don't think there's any disadvantage really, is that we want clients to speak to us. We want employers to speak to us. It doesn't mean you just now let this sit and run. The big issue we see in market when you do have a pension is you don't get advice or personalised advice or one-to-one advice. You need to look at what you want to achieve out of it, your own circumstances, what you want to contribute into it. And that's where, look, we put our best foot forward with individuals to help them get to what they want to achieve in retirement.
The cut-off point with auto enrolment at 60, is that just because you have 5 or 6 years left to retirement? Is that what that's about?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, really. The eligibility criteria, like you're kind of saying anyone below 23 isn't eligible and anyone above 60. And I suppose one of or two of the things we mention to everyone is start as soon as possible, and it's never too late. So I can't really see the reason why they've done that, to be quite honest. Maybe I can see on the other end, the lower end, maybe the 23, because people may not want to look at pensions. But at the age of 60, someone can still get a good benefit from 60 to 65, whether it be a tax-free lump sum at the end. So it's basically the rules that they've set out and how they've created it. And one of the I suppose, concerns we had was that they didn't really interact too much with the likes of the broker market to see maybe what would our guidance be on how to create it. So, I don't really understand maybe why they've done that.
Particularly, Keith, when you take into account that now you're allowed to sort of put your state pension aside until you're, 70 or so. So, you know, for a lot of people, there could be 10 years of a benefit there.
Yeah, so they brought in that with the state pension that you can push it back every year in order to maybe get a better state pension. But I think, look, we kind of looked at the maths there, and like from an actuarial point of view as well, and we got a lot of information. You'd want to actually live till I think you were in your 85 to 90 in order to benefit from the extra 4 years of pushing out to state pension on that fact. But there would be a gap, and it is that pension income gap. If you retired at 60, you've 10 years, or sorry, you could have 10 years. At the moment, you've 6 if you get your state pension at 66. And that is the crucial part, is that people need to be looking at how can I fill that gap? How can I have a sufficient pension for retirement? And how is it unique to me as well?
It's very interesting. Since we first spoke, Keith, SYS is flying. You're doing extremely well, aren't you?
Yeah, it's really, really positive. You know, we're going from strength to strength. I think at the moment we have 680 million of assets under management, and to grow further. We've nearly upwards of 70 staff. Our office, our HQ, delighted to say, is in Nina in Tipperary. I'm a Limerick man myself, so I call that out. But
you poor thing, Keith. You poor thing.
Not to hold it against me. But I'm delighted to say, you know, our HQ is in Nina. We support a lot of people around Tipperary, be it individuals, families, employers. But we do have a nationwide kind of footprint as well, which is great. Offices in Dublin, Cork, and in Limerick as well. And yeah, it's great for us. The impact we make on people, there's no role like it. At the end of the day, Fran, the impact we can bring to people with financial advice. You know, in the case of someone passing away, you know, with life cover, having an illness, unfortunately, you have illness benefit, but then savings and pensions. It's a real great role for me and for the business as well. So long may it continue for us, hopefully.
Many congratulations on the success, and Tipperary founded as well. And just before I let you go, if people want more information than they might have gotten from us today, or just some clarity on that, is there an online source that you would recommend, Keith, do you think?
On the auto enrolment piece in particular, Fran, there's a My Future Fund portal available now for employees and employers. So that would be the first port to call, you know, if you did want to go in and access portals, etc. The government do have an FAQ section on auto enrolment on their websites as well. That is extremely useful. But then I suppose the other part then is, you know, we don't actually manage auto enrolment, but if anyone then needs retirement planning advice in general, of course, you know, people can obviously visit our website, www.sysfinancial.ie, or contact us directly to the office there in Nina, or our mobile details are all on the website as well.
Listener making an interesting point and saying, Fran, I presume this is not for civil servants who are in pensionable jobs anyway. You'd go along with that, obviously, Keith.
Correct, yeah. So public sector and private sector pension arrangements are completely separate. The Auto Enrolment is purely for private sector. Public sector employees would have their pensions that are there, and I won't go into their structures because they're complicated under the bonnet, friend. But they're completely separate.
For sure. I love this. This is from a real optimist, Keith. It says, could you ask Keith, I'm over 60, so I'm not enrolled, but am I entitled to a 1.5% pay rise?
Look, there is an option where you can choose to request to opt in to it.
Even if you're over 60.
Even if you're outside of the eligibility, you can request to be opted in. Now, there is that little bit of discretion, obviously, then at each employer, obviously, then outside of that in terms of contracts of employment, and I can't get into that detail, but I can speak for the employer. That they have in terms of the pay rise. I suppose they'd have to have that negotiation separate to me.
Sure, yeah. Somebody else says, I'm a member of my work pension scheme. I also pay an AVC. I also have a part-time job, and I'm being hit for auto enrolment on that too. Can you ask Keith if I can opt out now?
So I'm assuming, just if I'm hearing that correct, Fran, they have two employments.
I think so, yeah. And they're being the auto enrolment on the part-time job, I think.
On the part-time job, exactly. So what the system will do is, it's very vanilla in terms of how it operates. We'll go in and just look at your individual employments, and they'll look at them in isolation. And on one part, they don't qualify because they're an active part of a pension scheme. But in their part-time role, if they obviously are a certain age and they don't have a pension going through there, they will be pulled in. And the important part there is the 20,000 gross salary is from both those incomes. So they will breach it. Although the part-time role could be low, their overall income will bring them into it. So I'm assuming that's what's happened there in that case.
And one final one, if you would. It's an interesting question too. Will you ask Keith, would a school secretary qualify for this pension scheme? No, my understanding is they're outside of that norm of that government pension. So anything on that?
Yeah, so I know we had a query on that even ourselves recently. They're obviously separate. They're not entitled to the public sector. I know there was a bit of negotiations on that, but if the payroll is reviewed and they're factored into it in terms of their structure, they would be pulled in. But I don't think, from what I've heard, they have been, because it's these in-betweens, Fran, to be honest with you, that they haven't considered, that might fall through the cracks and someone might be pulled in. So there probably will be more information to come on the likes of that situation.
God, there's questions coming in from all over the place on this, Keith. But one person making an interesting point. Can the government dip in and out of this fund at any stage? Now, of course, there's precedent for this, as you well know. But what about that? That's interesting.
And if I'm hearing the question right, in terms of as in go into your monies and take?
Inevitably there will be a pot of money from the collective on this. And, in the past we would have had situations where the government did dip into to funds like that. Anything on that?
Yeah, so your pension will be your pension. It's essentially your monies, your name, your contract. What that could be relating to is, obviously you have the likes of a social insurance fund there that pays state pensions, and the government obviously have a pot of money there where people are paying PRSI into it that they choose to use to pay out state pensions, state illness benefits, and obviously they have control over how that is essentially managed. But I could not foresee, again, I can't speak for the government, but I could not foresee any reasons or any way where the government would pull in and, be able to, I suppose, use or take people's monies in any way in this structure.
All right, Keith, great to talk to you today, and thank you for that. Thank you. Good morning to you.
And thanks very much, Fran, for having us on.
That's Keith Dundon there, Head of Financial Services at SYS Financial, Tipperary-founded financial firm there. We'll take a break, back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
That listener who asked the question about the possibility of the government taking from these pension pots, then I was making the point to Keith that there is precedent for this, because they did take from pension pots primarily through that crisis era pension levy that ran right up until 2015, but on private funds and by using the National Pension Reserve Fund then for the bank bailouts. So it is there, and maybe that's what the listener had in mind when they were asking the question. And now we continue to look back at the factories and industries that closed in decades past, and regular contributor to the show, Pat Mullally, joins me now. Pat, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran. How are you keeping?
I'm well, Pat, and lovely to talk to you today. You have a number of places that just sprang to mind with this conversation, but your own former Aircom, of course, was on Thomas Street there in Clonmel, I think, was it?
That's right, yeah. When I came into Aircom first in 1971, we were working out of a place called down in Market Street. There's a little yard down there, and that's for the engineering section. Then they moved down to O'Mara's yard, which was down in the Quay. And then the building, headquarters was built above in the 80s, above in Thomas Street, in the Boulick Field. Aircom purchased the field there. And they built a state-of-the-art headquarters up there with stores and accommodation for offices, office accommodation for the workers. There was about 70 people working there, out of there, and a big employer. And of course that's all gone now. The building is knocked. They're building houses inside it. Progress maybe, I don't know. But whatever, most of the stuff now for telecoms is all contracted out. There are different contractors inside there. And there's a minimum amount of staff. I think there's only one or two people left actually employed by Aircom itself, working in Clonmel at the moment.
Yes, that's very interesting. I didn't realise that, to be honest. But
contracted out. And it was a big employer.
Yeah,
well-paid employee, well-paid employer, state-run. And I remember when I came in the 70s, now, there's known as we have known from economics, as you were speaking about pensions and all that, economic cycles are cyclical, what do you call it, recessions.
Yeah.
And they come around about every 10 years. Now, the town of Clonmel was a very, very wealthy town. It was a good town. The cyclical 10-year recessions didn't hit Clonmel as bad as it hit other towns. I remember in Carrick-on-Shore there was about 27% unemployment, 23% in care. Clonmel was 11%.
Is that because of the multinationals?
Because of we'll call them blue chip employees or employers.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at Clonmel, say from the Waterford Road up, and you talk about say Sheezer's factory was employing young ladies inside there, and presume a lot of the married women now inside will remember Sheezer's. It gave them employment. That's gone. You come up into Barlow Radiators. That was a big employer as well. Yeah. Gone. If you just look through the town itself, a lot of the shops, the J&G Boyd was a shop that farmers came in from the country to purchase some of the hardware stuff. And if I mentioned something to you now, you probably wouldn't even know what it is. Lowry's Corner.
No, I don't.
Corner.
Where is that?
The politician. Nothing to do with the politician.
Yes.
It's there on the corner of Dadstone Street and Market Street. As you're turning down Market Street, there's a building there, I think just Permanent TSB was in at one stage or something. That was Lowry's hardware shop.
Was it indeed?
The whole way back as far as the entrance up into the telephone exchange. Then you had O'Donnell Wool Mills, just down in Market Street as well, where all the farmers brought in their wool from the fleeces of wool from the sheep and sold them. And obviously they spent a few pounds inside in the town of Clonmel as well. And that was in Market Street. You had the Collins Hall ballroom beside it.
Yes.
That's gone. You probably remember that from your dancing days.
Well, I was told about it.
Oh, you're told about it. Oh,
I don't quite go back that far.
Yeah. Then if you go down into the what do you call it, the army barracks.
Yes.
Imagine the employment that gave.
Huge.
And that was a blue chip company. Or, do you know what it means? A government employee. The lads that were inside there. It was a great, what do you call it, a place where young people may not be able to get a job, but they joined the army.
Yeah.
They got educated. They got their money and their wages. And
Trades, opportunity for trades and all of that. Yeah.
The trades and all of that, So that's gone. You go back up into I said Lowry's. You go back down into J&G, Sparrow and Simpson, which was down in. They were the first you can go in. You could buy bulk sugar or bulk detergent. I remember my father coming home with about 12 packets of Daz one time. I wonder what we were going to do with it.
Was that like a cash and carry type of?
No, it was pre supermarket days.
Right.
You could go in and you could buy what do you call it? Tea, loose tea.
Oh, very good.
Might have heard of the tea chest box.
Of course, yes.
The tea chest box is a big box and a lovely piece of plywood lined inside with silver paper. And the tea was loose inside that, so you could buy your pound of tea or a half stone of tea or whatever the case may be. This is what do you call it?
Tea bags and all of that kind of thing, yeah.
A good, decent cup of tea.
For sure.
So you go up along Collins Street then and you'd Buck's Bacon. These were, and the factory was behind it. They killed their own bacon. And they employed a lot of people, 40 people, I think, inside there. So like, Clonmel itself was booming in the days, and
what were you saying to Leanne about the railway and the goods yard? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Remember the Curran Signs there was across on the railway.
Yes.
And that's gone. They used to manufacture years ago coach builders. And then they went into Curran Signs. They manufactured signs for the roadways and anybody that wanted signs all over Ireland and possibly the UK as well. And then across the way, then you had the railway. And the railway then had a goods yard. And all the goods coming into the town were dropped off inside. There was a siding inside there, a goods siding, where the carriages were taken off and the shunting was going on up there. John A. Murphy, I remember, was working inside in the goods yard, character of a man. And the wagons were brought into the goods shed. And all the goods were taken out that were for the shops. And they were brought down. I'll always remember when I came to town first and I saw this horse drawn, kind of an articulated trailer, flat trailer. And the horse was drawn and written on the side was General Carter. And of course, I was wondering who General Carter was. But the goods would be put on that, all the goods for the shops. And he would go down to town. I think it was a guy by the name of O'Donnell, I think, from Garrymore around there, used to drive it, used to do it, and deliver in the stuff into the shops, whatever they wanted, in bulk. There was no such thing as the trucks going in the town now.
And Pat, tell me this, Pat, with all of this going on, the town must have been crowded. Was it a great buzz going on around it?
Oh, there was a great buzz. Always a great buzz inside the town.
Yeah.
I remember coming into the town in 1971 as a young fella, completely green-eyed, and listened and looking at this, the town itself. It was a hub of activity, and unfortunately that's not there anymore. And there was great characters in the town. I remember there was Chappie's Clonmel Foods up in the top of the town, up the top of Irishtown, and that was Clonmel Foods. And Chappie's was known as because I think there was a Jew who used to have it for a horse factory or something. But those characters, there was one character in particular. I won't mention his surname, but I will mention his nickname. And his nickname was Gammy. And he'd always get everything wrong at his own expense. Unnoticed to himself, but it was his own expense. Yeah. I remember one time they had killed two big sows. Two massive sows came in. So the two sows were hanging on the rail after being slaughtered. And Gammy sat in the middle and he got a photograph taken and of these massive sows, and he was going around showing the photograph, and he said, look, he said, what came in today? He said, and that's me in the middle. Another time then the health and safety were coming in and the boning yard, where the knives were very, very sharp, and you know what I mean, for boning. And of course there's invariably you'll get cut fingers and cut hands and everything from a slip of the knife from the bone. And they decided that they were going to get these chainmail gloves, whereas, they're like chainmail, but they're gloves to protect the hands from being cut. So the foreman goes down to the factory one day anyway, and next to me, cop gammy below, no glove on. And he said, we spent a lot of money getting these gloves to protect people. I said, see, when you go away, he said, they're taking the edge off me knife.
They were all great characters and great stories.
Great characters, He sent a guy down for the Irish Press. Your man came back with the Irish Independent, the newspaper.
Yes.
And he said, if I wanted to send a fool, he said, for the Irish Independent, I would have went myself. But there was great characters in the town, and it took me a long time to understand the lingo. Because Clonmel obviously exported a lot of their young people over to England during the time of the war and whatever the case may be, recession in the 50s. And these people came back, either they worked in London or whatever it was, and they came back with some Cockney slangs. So you'd often hear the lads would be talking, and you'd nearly want to have a dictionary to understand what they were saying, Then you get me glimmers, the glasses, you know what I mean? Yeah. Go and get your banjos, your sandwiches, different things that they used to speak about. But Clonmel was a buzz. In the night time, then you had the Clonmel Arms. The discos there at the weekend. You had Sham Lee, the DJ, playing there on a night. Big bands. I'll always remember, say, the post office dinner dance. When dinner dances were popular. And they were the post office dinner dance, you had the nurses dance, you'd have the guards dance. They were very, very popular at the time. But sure, that's all gone now,
Yeah, well, still, they're lovely memories, Pat, and thanks for sharing so many of them with us. But it's interesting, Pat, and I'm sure it's the same for you. Since we started talking about this, people are just, they're really delighted to hear these memories being shared.
They do. The thing about it is, I did say to Leanne when we were talking about it, because, you forget about what happened years ago. You do forget. And probably as you go back into your elder years or your older years, you're reminiscing about what happened in the good old days, and you just think, and think back. And it's only when you're prompted, like when I was speaking with Leanne about it, you're prompted to kind of just think back in the memories. And you can look back with a certain amount of nostalgia. When you look at the programmes even that RTE were putting on, and a very, very popular programme, that Reeling in the Years, and you look back at it and you say, God almighty, wasn't it a simple time, and even when I was in Clonmel in the old days, in the 70s and the 80s, progressing inside the town, you could walk the town at night, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, no problem. You'd have no problem going home.
There was no question of feeling unsafe or anything like that.
No question of feeling unsafe. And to hear then Father Michael Toomey saying the other day, he was on your programme there and discussing about it, that he would feel fearful going down the town.
Unsafe, yeah. It's a shame, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a shame to see it. And Clonmel was a brilliant, brilliant town, because it was an industrial town. It was the capital of Tipperary, and by God, it was a capital of Tipperary. And when I came into town, the Borstal was still there. The old prison was behind the walls inside there. There was a pram factory inside there. Latter years then, of course, was knocked down, and the post office is built there now, and the sorting office was in at the back one time, the back of the Borstal.
And all buzzing with employees and people, and marvellous. Pat, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you, and lovely memories there, Pat. Thank you, good morning to you. That's Pat Mullally there. We'll take a break, back with more.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or email tiptoday@tipfm.com.
Let's stay with those memories of Clonmel. Glad to be joined now by Mick O'Brien. Mick, good morning to you.
Hello, Fran. You'll have to forgive me, I have a touch of a cold, so I might sound a bit funny.
Well, you sound fine to me, Mick, and a happy new year to you and your families, and thank you for coming on with us. I think, did you respond to us yesterday when it came up about Atchison's Dairy in Clonmel, Mick?
Yeah, Atchison's Dairy was located where the newer Lidl is in Queen Street.
Ah, right, okay.
Right, and it was a state-of-the-art dairy at that time. It was way before its time. It had all stainless steel accoutrements inside it and all that sort of thing, you know what I mean? It was really before its time,
Right, and forgive my ignorance on this, but was milk brought to it? What sort of an establishment was it?
They brought down the cows down the Casher Road every evening and brought them in there for milking.
Oh, they were milked there. Okay,
yeah,
right.
And they had 2 herdsmen. And the reason I remember the herdsmen is Johnny Ryan lived 2 doors down from where I was reared. I was reared in those small little houses there, opposite Lyons' fast food place. You know?
Yes.
And Johnny Ryan was one of the men, but a cow actually went into our kitchen, you know, one time. And sure, the cow was nearly bigger than the kitchen, you know. And lucky enough that the back door was open, so and we had no garden, we had a yard at the back, so they had to turn around the cow and kind of beat it out through the kitchen again, like, and it did its usual business, and my mother was aside having a canary, as they say.
I'm sure. And can you remember, was there a big buzz around that then when the cows would be driven in there? And
oh, yeah, and the funny part of it was they used to bring down the bull as well, and they had the ring in the nose and all that sort of thing. And another chap worked there was Willie Murphy, and he worked in Avonmore Creameries, which was the old creamery in Shure Island. He worked over there afterwards, another great character, and he would be bringing down the bull. And I always wondered why did they bring down the bull, you know, because was he getting lonesome or something with the cows or something?
And why did they bring the bull down?
I don't know. I could never figure out to this day, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe he was getting lonesome above in the field on his own or something.
Maybe so indeed. And the memories that we're talking about, Mick, does that take you back to a very vibrant town? I mean, it's still a great town, but you know.
I could even go back further than Patnallally. You know, I was born in 1951, so that would make me 75 coming up, like, you know. Yeah. So I could. And Pat, he mentioned the horse floats there from the CIE.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
And they used to deliver all the goods, but one of the particular men was Willie Tobin. He lived in Oliver Plunkett Terrace. And he had this lovely uniform on him, and the horses were done up to the lace, all beautiful tackle on them and all that kind of thing. Oh, they were magnificent. They were like Clydesdales, you know?
Yeah.
And Willie was delivering stuff to, I think Pat mentioned it, Chappies or Clonmel Foods. And he was going up by Connolly Park, and I can't remember the man now that owned the place, but this guy had a lovely garden. He had a kind of a lawn at one side, and he had a kind of a market garden kind of, you know, for vegetables at the other side. And of course Willie was coming up, and of course the horse did his business in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And your man ran out anyway with his bucket and spade or whatever it was. And he said, Willie, hold on there, he said. And Willie said to him, oh yeah, no problem at all. He said, I want to pick up the horses' dunes there, you know. And Willie said to him, and he said, what are you going to put that on now, he said. Well, he said, I'm going to put it on my rhubarb. Well, by God, he said, you're so mad, because he said, we always use custard on ours. And that's the kind of characters that were around at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had a wish that it was just, it was unreal.
And that really has emerged through all the conversations over the past week or so. Those kind of characters, are they gone largely, these?
Oh, yeah. Sure, I mean, a lot of the places now where, you know, people don't know their neighbours anymore, you know?
I know, yeah.
You know, even in some of the, what we'd call the private houses schemes that were there years ago and are still there, everybody knew everybody in those days, but now, sure, the houses are being sold and people moving on, and you don't know the neighbours anymore, like, nor did they want to know you, kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Somebody's telling us about the shoe factory and a pram factory. Was there a pram factory, Mick?
There was a pram factory, yeah. That was situated near where the old prison was.
The Borstal, yeah.
The Borstal, yeah. And the Borstal was there. That was used as a kind of a reformatory for young boys at that time.
And do you remember that?
Oh, I do, of course.
Do you? Yeah.
But sure, the wall of the old Borstal, if you go down the back of my house, you could see the wall is down at the 2 doors down from me. You could see the big wall that was part of the old prison, you know.
Is that near where the post office is now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. I live near there, like, you know.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so that was all there, like, you know.
Yeah. What else springs to mind? What other workplaces would spring to mind, Mick, when you're thinking back?
Well, I can remember everything that Pat Mullally mentioned earlier. But the other thing was that there was a kind of a grocery shop on nearly every street corner, you know?
Yeah.
The amount of grocery shops. My own aunt had a small grocer's opposite Minahan's pub there in Gladstone Street. And little kind of a huckster shop. I don't know how she ever made a living out of it, but apparently she made a good living out of it, you know?
And they gave credit, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Sure. I'd say nearly everybody had a book in the local shop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they paid. Now, I remember my aunt also had a license for to sell paraffin oil.
Did she?
And she had this tank at the back of the shop, and she used to have to renew the license every so often. And I often was in the place with her, and I often get out a few scoops of oil. People come in with their gallon or whatever it was, and how half the population weren't killed from this paraffin oil because they were using paraffin heaters inside in the houses, like, and the fumes off them were just astronomical. Like how they survived it, I don't know, but you'd want to have a window open. You know?
I can well imagine. So they were heaters run on paraffin.
Yeah, paraffin heaters. Yeah.
Wow.
And they were obnoxious, to be quite honest with you.
The smell of them
really,
must have been.
Yeah. And really noxious. How people weren't killed in them, I don't know. You know,
there's always the danger, Mick, that we look back with kind of rose-tinted glasses and all of that kind of thing. But were they better times from a social point of view and from a neighbourly point of view?
No, I think all fairness, the 50s was a bleak. Clonmel was bleak in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, there was no colour around. Every place, all the shops were kind of painted black or grey or green. You know, there's no colour around. You know, that kind of thing. Now, I suppose everybody was in the same boat. Like, you know, we all had, basically we had nothing, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I suppose everybody, I mean, you could go away in a fortnight's holidays. Well, if you had the price for a fortnight, you might get 2 days and some more if you were lucky. But the only thing you were worried about, like, is if you had a dog, you'd ask the neighbour, could you feed the dog, like, you know?
Yes. Okay.
And the key was left on a string inside the letterbox. You know what I mean?
So that was the security, yeah.
Yeah, sure. We have nothing that you can rob anyway. Like, there's nothing there, like, unless you're going to go away with the bed and the cooker, like, or something. You know? We were all in the same boat, like, you know what I mean? We're working class people, and that's what we were like. But at the same time, you know, I'd be proud of my heritage in that sense. I wouldn't be a bit ashamed of anything.
Can you understand, Mick? Because I'm sort of struggling with this a little. But the huge interest in this, since we started telling these stories and hearing these stories, huge interest in people looking back over those years.
Yeah, I'd say when they're looking at Clonmel, I suppose they're looking at the amount of places that are derelict around. You know, and, if you went into O'Connell Street one time, oh my God, in the 50s, 60s, all the people lived over the shops, you know?
Of course, yeah, of course.
You know, I remember a few shops there now where Mrs. Boyle had a shop there. Mrs. Burke had a fish shop that she lived over the shop as well. You know, all that sort of thing. You had Clonmel Drapery, the amount of shops. You had the Home and Colonial, which I think was an English-based company. You had Lipton's, had a shop in, which I believe is in O'Connell Street as well, Lipton's, which would be an English-based company.
And of course you had Woolworths there, didn't you, for years as well?
Oh, gee, Woolworths was a fantastic shop. Like,
yeah,
you could go in there and you could buy broken chocolate. You know what I mean? Chocolate that they couldn't sell or got damaged or whatever. You could go in and get a half a pound of broken chocolate. You know?
Isn't it great? I must leave it there, Mick, but a pleasure as always, and a happy New Year to you, Mick. Thank you.
Yeah, many happy returns.
Thank you. Bye-bye to you there. Mick O'Brien there from Clonmel. News and information's coming up.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat, and welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today. We're still getting in fantastic memories from our listeners about times gone by, particularly about factories and industries and indeed shops that have closed their doors over the years. And I know on Monday we will be getting back to that. We'll also next week be talking about ballrooms, and I know that certainly is going to drag people kicking and screaming back down memory lane. So we'll start that maybe from Monday or Tuesday of next week. So get thinking about that as well, if you would. Time for our panel. Delighted to be joined in the studio by Phil Prendergast, our agony aunt, of course, former MEP. Carol Clancy is with us, columnist, regular contributor to the show, and Joe Leahy, the founder of Seesaw, security consultant, and he's been with us for a lot of years indeed. You're all extremely welcome, and thanks very much. And with the exception of Phil, I hasten to add, the talk was about drink during the news there. God almighty, I'm surrounded by people who are fond of a drop. Sure, why not? Anyway, let us begin with the whole business of Mercosur, because last weekend thousands of Irish farmers participated in a rolling protest in Athlone as anger grows over the progression of the EU Mercosur deal. Now on Friday, the EU ambassador approved a trade deal with Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, but it still needs to be backed by the European Parliament. As you know, the Irish government voted against the deal in its current form, with senior cabinet figures insisting that negotiations are not finalised. So I suppose the question is, how do you see public opinion in Ireland on this? Joe, can I start with you first of all? Because I heard a vox pop on national radio, and it certainly appeared to me that to the general public, they were lacking in knowledge about this, and weren't sure really what it was all about.
Yeah, I think, Fran, I'd agree with that. I think there's a lot of, I suppose we're listening to what we're listening to as such, but we don't know, personally I don't know the in-depth ins and outs of it, right? You're looking at it appears to me from the outside, like looking in, that it is all to do with, I suppose, protecting the product that we have, and on the other side of it then it would appear to be that we're offering our produce maybe to more countries and, getting into different markets and all that. I think I suppose the one thing that I've been afraid of is that the standard would drop, if it comes in, if the likes of the beef comes in from other countries, and then with the cost of living, which has gone worldwide in an upward trajectory, are we all going to be in trouble, and will we look buying the cheapest at the end of the day, and will that affect us? I don't think it'll really affect us, because I think there's enough people out there that will go for quality at the end of the day. I think the government did the right thing to vote against it. I think that's what the public wanted in Ireland, and that's what they voted for. But I think we're a bit lacking in, as you'd say, like the insurance policy in the small print. I think, like personally, I don't know enough about the small print to understand the ins and outs of it, but to open up, if we can open up, we'll say markets like China and these things, which is not involved in this, but if we can, I think that's what it's all about. And maybe the EU are looking to say put the brakes on the likes of America, and that we're not fully dependent on them by going elsewhere in markets, and maybe that's what's expanding
the trade and all of that. Have you concerns though that it seems inevitable that this is going to happen anyway? And because we now are voting against this, do you think it's going to come against us at some point, John?
I don't think it will, Fran, because I think what happens in all these things, that is to and fro, and at the end of the day, there'll be another vote for something else before the end of the year, and we'll vote for that, or we'll, propose it, and away we go again. I don't think it is. I think a lot of these things at any of these meetings that you go to, a lot of it is huff and puff, and, I don't think it'll matter at the end of the day. And one of the things I don't understand, I suppose, really and truly, is, the country has voted against it so far, and there's still protests taking place. I don't think what else the government can do other than vote against it.
Well, the Parliament still has to vote, and I suppose the protests are all about that.
Are aimed at the Parliament, yeah. And I would assume that it'll probably pass, because they won't put it up there on the agenda and fail. They'll be guaranteed their numbers before it goes up there, as we all know. That's the way they operate,
Can I go to you on it, Phil, because of your experience as an MEP as well? And do you go along with that notion that, sometimes ordinary people going about their business, they're too busy to be going into the finer print of something like this, unless they're a farmer or from a farming background? Would that have been your experience over the years?
It would, Fran, but one thing I'll say now that's very important, and I remember it so very clearly when this happened before, and I was in the European Parliament, and I went there in 2011, and one of the big things is you had to have you had to have an interest in the farmers' interests.
Yes.
Because we were known as being notorious for being very strong on that. And
you were involved in the agri end of it,
absolutely.
weren't you?
Well, every one of the European members, every one of the Irish members of the European Parliament were involved in the farmers, because it was very important to our industry, very important to agriculture. So everybody was on the agricultural panel, everyone. And we all had to buy in. But when there was a protest in Brussels, the square was packed to the rafters, and there was a very wide street leading down to that square.
I know it well,
so when you looked out over the arch and you looked down at that street, there wasn't room for one more person to stand, and they were roaring and shouting, playing music, they were shouting, had their slogans.
And was that very influential?
It was very obvious that this was a very big issue for the Irish people. So our beef is absolutely excellent. Now, there's a lot of people probably listening and saying, well, if you can afford beef now, you're doing okay, because it's gone so expensive, as is everything. But I mean, the quality and all the work that goes into it in having a product that we can say it's got this trademark and it's got that mark and it's got this quality assurance, it's something that's not broke, it doesn't require fixing. And the worry is that with Mercosur, we're going to have all sorts of scrag ends and bits and pieces and high fat and perhaps even stuff that's steeped or washed, or, it's not to the quality that we would expect.
Even though we're being assured that regulation, inspection, all of this will be in
I can
place.
understand that, but if you have a set of regulations that are not to the standard that we have had, you're going to get an inferior product.
Anyway.
And there are people that will certainly say, sure, look, can't you put a bit of spice on that? Won't it be fine? Or we'll make a curry instead of a stew, or we'll add this in, or we'll add that in. And whilst that might make it more palatable, it's still not going to be the product that we have.
And Phil, because Mercosur has been going on by way of discussion for the last 25 years, do you remember it when you were in the Parliament?
Oh, very much so. It used to be on the agenda quite regularly, and when we would have meetings, say all the Irish MEPs would have your meetings, and so then the people that were involved in all these different trades in different countries, they used to be trying to say, well, look, come on, lads, you can't just have something and keep it and not be willing to try something else. And you'd be saying, we have a quality product that is second to none. It has never failed us. It has a standard, and we're very proud of it, and we're not willing to dilute the quality of our product.
And is it very simplistic to say that this is really all about the Germans selling cars into that particular market?
You see, there's always going to be a sideshow, Fran. So wherever there's going to be exchanges across the European Union, and when they want to increase the range and go into Mercosur and go into South America and Paraguay and Uruguay and all of those, it's all very well. But if we have a product that we can stand over, and it's got the quality assurance and everybody is happy with that range, I don't know that we want to dilute our country with stuff that is not the same standard or is a lesser or more inferior product than what we are used to. And I understand why people would have an objection to this.
And before I move to Carl, I mean, I'm sure you heard what Barry Cowan is saying, Fianna Fáil MEP, of course. The real question he said around Mercosur was not weighing up all the pros and cons of the deal for Ireland, but the protection of a subsector of one sector of the economy, which is kind of interesting. So what he's saying there is we need to look at the big picture and the opportunities that Mercosur might have for Ireland. Is that fair comment?
No, it's a fair comment, but I think the nub of this is about our beef, and the nub of this is about the standard that is accepted in other countries that wouldn't be on a par with what we have. And if something isn't broke in our country, why would we attempt to fix it? I can understand that people want cheaper products and maybe a lesser quality, but I think we have something that's very good. We should stand over it.
Carl, what are you making of this? Because, like myself, you're not a farmer, so what are you?
No,
making
I'm not a
of this?
farmer, but I'm a consumer of the produce of those farms.
Yes.
I suppose the first thing we know is that we can't sustain the food inflation that's going on. There's too many people in this country are barely hanging on as it is. As Phil said, if you've got beef, it's because you're doing all right. The people that are impacted first when cheaper beef comes in, if you want to use beef as the metric for a minute, is the people who can't afford the decent cut. So they buy the lesser cut. Now they'll buy the cheaper product. The South American herds are Brahman. They're an inferior species of cattle. They don't have the same musculature as our cattle, so you don't get as good quality. The reason that they use them is because you can put a Brahman in the middle of Texas and he'll live there. They will live
They're
on.
hardy.
They're tough.
Yeah.
So what you get from them is a tougher kind of meat. You're not going to get grass-fed, Irish climate, beautiful beef. That's one thing. The next thing is, what does this trade deal mean for the whole of Europe? Well, it means that this is the biggest trade deal they've ever done. It's the equivalent of 25% of the GDP of the world if they push this over the line.
Right, so this is huge.
This is massive. The problem with GDP is not the measure of a people.
Yeah.
It's the measure of production. It does not tell you whether people are happy, whether people are healthy.
And that, I mean, that reflects itself here in this country, doesn't it?
Every day of the week.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you whether suicide rates are up. It doesn't tell you whether homelessness is up, whether healthcare is doing well. Our GDP is great.
Yeah.
But our services are in a shocking state.
Yeah, and
Why?
people are finding it very hard
The
to make ends meet.
correlation between one and the other, there's a disconnect there somewhere. Also, if you've got hormone-fed beef or substandard Brahman beef, you're hoping that those hormone-fed beefs don't get into this country. But we've already seen some of the Brazilian beef come into the country.
My understanding is we are importing feed for our cattle from these countries, which is questionable.
Well, it's questionable in lots of different ways. One of the other ways it's questionable is deforestation. 240
from a climate
acres.
point of view, yeah.
While we're talking on this show today, 240 acres gone out of the Amazon. So
to make the land suitable for agriculture.
For agriculture, mostly cattle, but also soya for feed for animals.
Right.
Now, the Amazon forest has been responsible for 25% of all Western medication. It's responsible for 2,000 cancer treatments. The ethics of the situation are the more we encourage this particular deal, the more of that forest is cut down, and the more that the long-term damage is the lungs of the world.
Right. And we're
medicine
also
of the
being
world.
preached to then by the EU about climate change and about...
We are. And where does having a carbon sink that's depleted raises the level of carbon, which means that we have to lower our carbon emissions or pay greater carbon tax. So in the long run, are we going to make a deal out of this, or are we going to wind up paying for this? Because German cars are not more important than Irish well-being.
Right, but as you pointed out yourself, I mean, with the geopolitics of the moment, we need to look to other places. Micheál Martin was in China recently, and seemingly we'll be able to sell the beef in there once again. But expanding markets is very, very important.
Absolutely, we're doing, and us expanding our market.
Have you come to a conclusion as to what is the right thing to do?
Well, the right thing to do is to attempt to export as much of our products as we can. Yes, we're going to have to import some of the stuff from Mercosur because it does remove tariffs on our exports to South America, such as in medical devices and in other areas, which means that we're economically going to benefit. But really, as a community, when the Brazilian beef comes in, we need to be saying to our farmers, produce Irish beef and we'll buy it.
Right. As I pointed out a couple of times during the week, though, if the Brits do a deal with Mercosur, the Brits are our biggest market for beef. So guess what's going to happen there? Because God knows they have huge issues over there with cost of living.
That's why we've just gotten into South Korea. And South Korea's market can replace the British market if needs be.
Yeah.
So So we can't be dependent on the traditional markets. We can't be dependent on the way we've always done it is the way we'll always do it. We have to find new ways of getting out.
Do you know one thing, Joe, that has well, many things have emerged from this, but one in particular strikes me is the hypocrisy of the decision making right across the world. When it suits us, we're all conscious about climate change. When it doesn't suit us, we're saying, it's more profitable now if we do this and that and the other thing. And still, ordinary people are paying carbon taxes, and we can't burn turf. And
why are you surprised that it surprises you?
I don't know. I'm kind of half glad I'm still surprised, which means I'm not totally burnt out.
You see, I think it goes back to two words again that we're talking about, and that the two lads have spoken about as well. It goes back to trade deal. You know, you mentioned Germany there on the cars. Like a trade deal, what is that? There's self-explanatory. Like you're dealing in trade.
Right, so there's give and take.
There's give and take. Yeah. And it comes back again to what the point you're after raising there, Nothing sickens me more like than, you turn around and you're asked to, cut back on driving and cut back on this and cut back on that. And all of a sudden, there was never as many cars on the road in their life, like, right? The price of diesel and petrol has gone up through the bloody roof, like, right?
And the government benefiting from that all the time.
All the time, yeah. And then they'll say, you need to cut back there. It's all hypocrisy. Like,
take public transport.
Yeah, take public transport. That's not available, by the way, And where do you start and where do you stop? And again, it's all trade deals and it's all this. And again, you can't ever forget at any stage, and listen to Phil's point there in relation to the great produce that we produce from the land here. We're still only a small little island, and we have to do the very best we can with what we have. And we really have to. And we have to come up trumps every time with the very, very best of product what we have. Whether it is in, you see the job that we have to do, say, to try and, win a medal at the Olympics, or the job we have to do at the rugby teams, or anything else that we do. We really have to punch above our weight to do. And the same thing applies with this. I think if our product is good, I honestly do believe, I think we'll stand the test of time. But as Carla said, it might be in a different place. Could be in a different part of the world altogether, but we will have to have our produce up to scratch, top notch, and then I think it'll be all okay.
And just finally, Phil, again from your experience in Europe, is this sort of a bad thing on our copybook now, do you think? I mean, is this going to...
I don't think so, but I am reminded of there was a posh restaurant within the European Parliament where the dignitaries would go. Now, I wasn't a dignitary at the time, but I remember being in there, and there was a representative from all the groups within the European Parliament, and they were invited to an Irish themed meal, and I will never forget that, because there was all the different languages and all the rest of it. But when one of I think it was a German, got up to speak, and he said he had to speak in English. We were nearly going to demand he spoke in Irish, but because I'm not great at the old Irish myself, we abandoned. But they were so very impressed with the range of food, and they definitely said that the quality was unsurpassable. And it was a term that stayed with me, because normally she'd be getting shock and slop in a place like that where there was several thousand people, and then you could have had 2 or 3 stagiaires, which were your staff, and they were all there, and they were getting paid maybe $1,000 a month for doing your bits and pieces and running around the Parliament. But I mean, it was a system that was phenomenal in terms of profiling and trying to get the upper hand on the rest of Europe, or to show what we had. And it was a lot of showboating, but there was a lot of sense to it.
Yeah.
For us. So it never was that Ireland was going to be dismissed by the bigger areas. By, say, Germany might have had 30 or 35 MEPs. We had 11 at the time. I think it might be 13 or 14 now. But it was a phenomenal show, the way things were done.
It's an interesting insight indeed. Let me take a break. We're back with our panel in just a few moments.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Welcome back to our Friday panel. Joe Leahy is with us, Carol Clancy and Phil Prendergast. And just during the break there, we were talking about social media platforms. Of course, needless to say, X is certainly in the news over the last while. But Phil, you were saying to me about Facebook. You're not impressed anymore with Facebook?
No, I'm not, because I think some of the content, it's like you could open your screen now and you can see nudity, male, female. You can see all sorts of horror pictures. You can see depictions of kind of
executions and
all sorts of things that is really, really not suitable for people that are looking for maybe simple information about something, or you want to go and see maybe what a room might be with a different colour on the wall, something very simplistic, something that you can use an app for to say, what would this look like if I did this, what would it? But most of the time now you might have to wade through stuff that's definitely unsuitable for smaller eyes. And it's definitely unsuitable for some people to be seeing, because they're getting ideas about how to commit suicide, how to finish your life, how to go out with a bang, how to try out something but try it out to the extent that you don't get into trouble, and how to hide stuff. It's become very, very toxic.
And Carol, as I say, X is, particularly with Grok, is the AI facility is in the news lately. But is that fair? Because it's right across these platforms, these issues.
Any image editing AI can be asked to do the same kind of work, which is what Elon Musk was trying to allude to when he gave the picture of Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
The problem is that's changing the narrative. The narrative should be, well, teach the AI to do better. Teach the AI to deny requests rather than say, oh, well, anybody else can do it.
And you're saying that should be relatively easy with the capability of...
If you can teach it to do something, you can teach it not to do something as easily. And the thing is, it's not about banning one. It's not about banning X, like some people are saying. It's about banning X so that everybody else who has an AI understands, if you don't follow these rules, we'll ban you too. It's to take the power back. The power rests at the moment with the platforms. They don't engage with the governments or anybody else.
But Carol, whatever about the platforms, I mean, it's individual responsibility here, is it not? I mean, it's individual people are choosing to use these platforms in that fashion.
And you're always going to have a certain amount of people who will do that. And the more that you allow it, the more the extreme becomes the norm, and the norm becomes the extreme.
And the point I'd make there as well is having a picture put up of, say, any one of us here in the room, and then decide to make that picture a naked picture.
Yeah.
And that's done with artificial intelligence.
And to share that. Then,
and to
of course,
share it.
which
and
is
it's not you. It is a picture of a naked person wearing your face.
Yes.
And that is what is absolutely wrong. That you can manipulate. You can manipulate how somebody looks and show them in the worst possible light, or maybe the best possible light, if depending on what
and then you do that to a child.
And you see, that is where the complete line is crossed.
Well, the line goes further, because now you can manipulate video the same way. So now you have no idea whether the content you're watching is real or edited.
And it's so good, Carl.
It's
just
almost perfect.
Yeah.
And given the enough time, it can be made perfect. The stuff that's done on the fly, like we'll say, might have been done in Minnesota for certain angles of
the
video footage.
Yeah.
That was not done with enough time. Therefore, there were certain
glitches,
telltale artifacts that you can see in it.
And they're also using better and better images all the time, so as you don't see that glitch in the matrix. You see
it's
what
seamless,
appears
isn't
to
it?
be
It's just incredible.
It could be a baby of 6 months old.
You made the nuclear decision on Facebook. You just quit, Joe.
I just quit totally. I'm not on any of those platforms at all, Fran. And one of the reasons was that there was so much rubbish. It was all rubbish.
And
people
wasting our time.
Wasting our time.
I do
correct.
it all the time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And rubbish about stupid comments and rubbish about people saying, why don't you do this and why don't you do that and they're really twisting your head and twisting your brain. You know you have an idea, say especially with Seesaw or something like that, you know you have an idea, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then people come, why don't you do this and why don't you do that and why don't you do the other? And everybody saying, would you go away and don't be bloody annoying me? So I said, and did I lose anything today by it? Nothing.
You gain time, I'd say.
And the other thing I think about it, and I go back to the points, isn't it so strange like that so many things can be controlled, and yet in all, something like these things can't be controlled.
Well, they can, I guess, but Carl's point, they can if there's a will.
If there's a will. So why aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know?
This week, Mary McAleese, former president, of course, described infant baptism as a long-standing, systemic and overlooked severe restriction on children's rights with regard to religion. She was writing in the Irish Times. She charged that infant baptism violates the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 and the Convention of the Rights of the Child from 1989. Now, as you can imagine, this sparked a huge conversation. I was speaking to Father Iggy O'Donovan about it the other day, and Father Michael yesterday. Carl, can I start with you where this is concerned?
How did I know you were going to come to me for this?
What did you make of that? Was it the case that she wrote that knowing I'm going to kickstart a
Oh, absolutely. She wants to kickstart a debate.
Yeah.
And the debate is less to do with infant baptism and more to do with adult exit. It's less to do with the fact that as a child in the Catholic Church and in some other churches, you are baptised into the faith before you get a chance to make a decision about it. And more to do with the fact that once you're in the faith, there is actually no mechanism for leaving it. So there isn't actually a mechanism in the church for you to say, I no longer wish to be a Catholic.
Right, so once you're in at baptism, you're in.
You're in.
And that's it. Even if you choose to be just a cultural Christian.
Well, you can choose to go and pursue a completely different religion. You could go and be a Muslim. You could be a Jehovah's Witness. You could convert to Judaism. But you'll still be on the books as a Catholic.
But what about the idea of confirmation there? I know there's no sort of canon lawyers among us, but confirmation is saying, yes, I agree with what was said on my behalf when I was baptised.
I agree on my confirmation that I'm going to get dressed up, I'm going to go to a church, and I'm going to get a pile of cash. And that is my agreement. For most kids,
right.
the religious instruction...
But the essence of it is...
The essence is supposed to be that you are confirming your desire to be in the Catholic Church. However, even if you didn't make a confirmation, you're still on the books.
Right, okay.
Because you were baptised.
And do you see that as a bad thing?
I see it as an irrelevancy myself. Now, I'll go back through... We'll do a bit of a quick jaunt through history. In the first church, first century, there are no child baptisms because everybody's a convert from Judaism or from being a Roman Mithrin or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's no child baptisms. In the second century, child baptism starts to happen, usually as an emergency in case a child was going to die. In the first century, flip back for a second, the idea of child baptism wasn't necessary because they said that by being baptised as an adult, you were gaining the innocence of a child. That was, I think, Tertullian.
Okay.
So you have to fast forward till the 4th century where the practice has become widespread. Now, it's become widespread because people wanted to baptise their children into the faith because of high infant mortality. That was the first main reason.
Right, and that notion that if they weren't baptised, they were going to either hell or what happened later, which is the whole limbo thing.
That comes in with Augustine at the middle or end of the 4th century.
Right.
Where he posits the idea of original sin.
Yeah.
And since then, it's come to be a requirement to be a Catholic. In the Council of Carthage in 401 AD, God, I'm doing well today.
Yeah, aren't you? Just, nobody here is going to disagree with you.
Yeah, they basically they said it's not about if but when a child should be baptised, and it became tradition and canon law after that.
Right, and all of that is fascinating, but at the end of the day, if I am a practicing Catholic and I decide to have my child baptised because that is my belief, what's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing. And when the child grows to be of an age, For instance, when I was 18, in a fit of hubris, I decided I was leaving the Catholic Church and going off to be baptised in another church. And so I wrote to the bishop,
right,
and I told the bishop what I was doing, and the bishop very kindly wrote back and said,
"Good luck.
Best of luck with it."
Did he really?
He really did.
He didn't try to change your mind.
He just said, "Best of luck with it." He didn't think I was right, but he said, "Best of luck." And it has not impeded my life in one way, not for one moment, because in the very same way as I could get a divorce tomorrow, legally.
Yes.
But I'm still married as far as the Catholic Church is concerned.
Church is concerned.
But it doesn't make any difference to my life.
Joe, what are you making of this? Was this kind of necessary to have this conversation that Mary McAleese sparked, or does it really matter?
Well, I suppose it all depends, I suppose, Fran, who starts the conversation.
Yeah, well, Mary McAleese.
Yeah, but if it was, Joe down the pub, probably wouldn't be a word about it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
In my take.
Right,
That's my take
as a former Uachtaráin.
But as a former Uachtaráin, then, and the next thing, so here we are now, all talking about this. Does it matter? I don't know. Like, personally, I think you're baptised, as you've rightly said there. Whatever your parents are, you follow suit and off you go. And I think, as Carol has rightly said, when you come to the age of 18, 19, 20, 40, whatever you're at, yourself, and you want to go a different route, you're entitled to go a different route.
And if you decide to go a different route at that point, then, Joe, does it matter to you that technically you're still in the fold?
Not a bit in the world.
Right, okay.
Not one bit. But what does matter, though, like, and I will say it straight, what does matter, like, is when you get sick, and when you get seriously sick, you do need some bit of faith somewhere to hang on to. Like, I wouldn't be a mass goer, right? The poor priest, God help us, he'd be a long time now before I'd be able to turn on the heating for the man. But the reality is, like, right, do I believe? I do believe, like, right, at the end of the day, I do believe. And I'd be a very strong believer in Our Lady, and I'd be proud to say that rather than anything else. But when you get sick and when you're lying down there on that bed looking up at that ceiling, by Jesus, I'll tell you, that you need to go somewhere, like, you know what I mean? And I think therein is the faith and the belief and whatever else. Does that affect whether you're baptised a Catholic? Not in my book, not one bit.
Right, but it could all come together on your sickbed, is what.
But it could, correct and right.
Okay, Phil, you're smiling.
Well, you just try and be a good person. You see, I think there's concepts. We're baptised. I was baptised because I was born very prematurely, and I was taken off in my father's pocket, I believe, and he walked down to the priest and I was baptised, and I didn't die at all, of course, because I'm still here. But I know I was brought back and I was put on a hot brick that they took out of the oven and wrapped a cloth around it and then put me on it and wrapped a blanket. Yeah, because I was 32
and you
or 33
survived,
weeks.
Phil.
Listen, because I was a tinker then and I'm a tinker now. But I just feel that, things happen when you're children, and you get the sacrament of the, you get what you need at the time by your parents' decision, and they do it because that's the tradition, and you need to do it so as that you won't be considered someone that the devil will come and get. And like our childhood, an awful lot of it was frightening that the devil was going to come if you did certain behaviours, if you weren't in time, and I mean, we would be thrown out early in the morning in the summertime, and you were to be back before it was dark, but you could be gone the whole day. You could be eaten in anyone's house. But there was loads of children on the streets, so we just went to various houses and had sandwiches.
But is it important to point out to people who are horribly young at this point that the notion of baptism was so important to people like your mother's generation, Phil, because if they weren't baptised and children died, and as Carol said, there was high mortality rate, they went to limbo.
Yeah.
And then Pope Benedict, I think, came along and said limbo no longer exists.
So it can be banished in the blink of an eye. We had a narrative at the time that meant something, but in fact, words like limbo and out in the space, and they don't really mean anything if they haven't a context on it. And the context was that because we were baptised and a priest came and did that, there is a certain stature or status in getting baptised in a church by a priest, where you have all the holy water and the chrism and all the stuff that goes on with it. But it's actually a procedure that's done, and people get comfort from that. But the child that's being baptised doesn't know what's going on.
Doesn't know what's going on.
Cold.
And is it a case, it's almost like a legal argument if you read the piece, and because she's a canon lawyer and because she's an extraordinarily bright person, is it kind of an exercise in, I don't know, like something academic, if
but
you know
we're
what I mean.
having a debate around it, so she's had a success in
And that's a good thing, you figure.
Absolutely, it's a good thing, because it gives people a chance to have a discussion.
I think that, because we were talking about this beforehand, the group of people who might benefit from this most is those people who are perhaps have not had a wonderful experience with the church and would like an actual exit mechanism, a legal framework where they can say, I am not that anymore and I have no wish to be part of it, even in name or tradition or anything else. And that's what I think Mary McAleese is pointing at. Whether it's necessary for the vast majority of people, probably not. But there will always be a certain amount of people who will feel aggrieved that they're forced to stay in. Yeah. And Mary may actually be one of those.
And what about Joe's point? God forbid if you're on a sick bed and, you know, if your time is... How do you think you will be at
There's
that
a wonderful quote that I heard a long time ago and it stuck with me my entire life. And is, God is the blanket we throw over the mystery to give it shape. So it doesn't matter who's throwing the blanket over or what shape you get out of it. It's the same thing at the end of the day. And yes, I have great faith that there is something far bigger than any of us out there, whether it's heaven or anything else or God or universal consciousness. It doesn't matter. If you get comfort from it, that's all that matters.
There's a lovely gag about a fella on his deathbed, but I can't remember the full gag, but it finishes with, this is no time to be making enemies.
Yes.
We'll take a break. We're back with our panel in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007.
And you're very welcome back. And Phil, Carl and Joe with me. You were able to finish that gag for me. Did you say it was Voltaire?
That's Voltaire on his deathbed saying that the priest exhorted him to renounce Satan. And he says, sir, now is no time to be making enemies.
I just love that. We've been traipsing back down memory lane over the past week. We've been talking about factories and industries that have closed over the decades and the impact of that on communities. And of course, we came up with the Thurles Sugar Factory, Nina Castle brand, Dewan's and Thurles GMX, Antigen in Ross Gray, Roland's Tannery, Avonmore. There's so many places there. Joe, when we talk about that sort of, does that bring you back memories as well?
Oh, it certainly does, Franja. And I suppose, you know, the story I'll tell you is it'll bring a lot of people back out where I'm from in Feather. You know, we all went to work before we left school, while we were going to school, in a place called Anne's Gift. It was a tulip place there where they used to grow, the owners were Germans and Dutch people. They used to grow tulips. And we used to harvest tulip, pick them the same as spuds, the same as you pick spuds. There was hundreds of people working there every summer. The only place, there was 3 words missing out that were totally gone altogether. They were called health and safety. But we worked on and everything was done. They were just, the people came from all over, like south of Prairie.
It looked amazing though, did it?
Oh, it did, yeah. The colour was absolutely phenomenal, you know, and there are things you never forget, like, you know, the colour, the way you met people, the colourful scenes. You had the heads were taken off them, but you harvested the bulbs, you know, that came out of the ground, you know, and then they were brought into the houses, and they were heated and they were saved, and then they were, I suppose, graded then in different grades, and then they were all sent off to export, you know. But there was people cycled, they cycled like from Killusty, from Killinall, from Myglass, all over the whole place to work there, you know.
Right, and what happened to it in the end?
And eventually, the people that owned it, they were Hulsa Bosches. The manager was Manfred Naundorf. He ended up with Killusty mushrooms later on in years, and eventually, I don't know, did the export stop or did the people just pass away and, you know, that had just faded away?
Well, that would have been seasonal, would it?
That would have been, it was seasonal, Fran, just during the summer months. But having said that, when you look back on it, there was very little on offer in rural places like, like Feathert. Very, very little on offer at the time. Great memories, great people working, like there'd be hundreds of people working there, like over the years, you know what I mean? Literally hundreds.
It's incredible, yeah.
And it was a great way of doing things, look, back then. And, it was, everybody cycled, and, there was no such thing as Diet Coke or anything. The water was taken out of the river if it flowed.
And what we keep hearing about during the week, the social aspect. Too.
Oh, yeah, sure, everybody you met everybody, you see, in a different place. It wasn't in school. It wasn't the school set up, and everybody was free, and everybody was free to talk and crack jokes and rob each other's lunches and the usual story that went on, you know what I mean?
That's great. Carol, where does it take you, memory-wise?
Oh, God, there's two that come to mind there. There's one which is Ronan's. I did the odd bit of security down at Ronan's.
Did you? In the tannery? In
the tannery when I was a younger man. For Jerry Lamb.
Like Brute.
Back in the day. The smell. When you come home from a shift, because you had to walk the whole perimeter and sign the books and all the rest of it. When you walked the perimeter and you came home that night, you had to leave your clothes outside and take 2 showers. You couldn't have the clothes in the house. The smell was unmerciful.
Yeah.
That's the first one. And the second one is Brady's shop where Lifestyle is now. Brady's, way back when they were kind of a homewares shop.
Right.
And I remember being, I think I was 11, because I was still in primary school, still in St. Mary's, going down and paying £5 for a glass set of bowls and a large centrepiece bowl for Mother's Day for my mother, and walking out to Marlfield where we lived with this in my hands. It's the longest 3 miles of my life. So yeah, those.
What a lovely memory, though.
But from businesses around the town. But my brother-in-law worked for Roland's. My mother-in-law worked for Seagate. I think there isn't a family in this town hasn't worked for some of those businesses that are no longer with us.
My father worked for Roland's, but the one out in Rose Green, which was, I think, National Byproducts. I think, at the time. And again, the smell was
depending on what way the wind blew. You didn't hang your washing out.
For sure. Phil, what about you? Where does it take you, this conversation?
It brings me to in the early 70s. My father was driving a lorry full of gas cylinders, and he went away on Monday and came back on Friday, and he pregnated my mother on Friday night, and we had a baby every 10 or 9 months or whatever. But anyway, I remember when Avonmore came to Ballyragget, and my father went from something like, I think he was getting £16 a week to suddenly getting £65 a week when he went to Avonmore, where he wasn't going away all the week. He was driving a lorry during the day, going to the farmers' lands, collecting the milk and coming back. And it was the most seismic change that ever happened in any area, because suddenly people in Ballyragget started to have money and be able to do up the house or even move house, and they started to have kind of better standard of food. You weren't having sort of porridge every day. There was days we'd have Weetabix or even cornflakes, and it was high excitement.
And would there even be talk about a holiday then at that point? I mean,
not really, because there was still too many of us to think about a holiday. I think I remember us getting a car, and I remember that there was probably 9 of us in the car, but of course I was sat upon it, and I was small at the time, a little thing, unlike myself now. But it was a time where there was a huge jump in the affordability of having a better house, having bunk beds instead of 2 big double beds in a small bedroom. And of course there were so many of us, and all the boys were in one room and all the girls in the other.
Do you have any problem understanding, Joe, the way this has taken off? Again, a lot of things on this programme, we started with one conversation and then it just exploded with people wanting to share their memories about these times.
But that is Fran, hand on heart, that is the beauty of local radio. That is how people listen, and that's how people engage, and that's how people. And what you're doing really and truly is all you're doing is like turning on the switch, lighting the fire, and people are happy to come on there and talk about times past and all that went. And I think the sad part about it is, is that there's a huge cohort of younger people now who won't have any of those things at all to talk about. Do you know what I mean?
They won't.
It'll be all gadgets.
And I'm just out of time, Carol. Is there a danger, though, and I'm saying this more to myself than anything else, of looking back with rose-tinted glasses at times?
I don't think that there's any harm at running back with rose-tinted glasses for the simple reason that we all know we were there. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was hard. But you know what? It still gives you a better sense of community. And when you had nothing together, as opposed to now we have everything and we're apart.
Well, that's very profound. Well done. Yeah.
I'll leave it at that then.
And we remember the lovely summers.
Yeah. What is that about? That it always seems like the summers were sunny and.
They were sunny. I don't ever remember rain in the summer.
But is that just because we look back at the...
No, we look back at the days that we remember, and we remember the fun and the crack and dressing up in the long and your mother's shoes and the long dresses, and we remember that because they were what entertained us at that time. There was no screens.
Are kids missing out now, do you think, Phil?
You see, again, they only know what they know.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas we know something, and kids are very, very clever and smart now. They can do things with computers and things that I couldn't even turn on.
But I think as well, though, Fran, when you look back, like in the time you mentioned rose-tinted glasses, I remember, in the morning, a lot of us probably, you drank water out of the river. Yeah. If the water was running, it was safe to drink it. No. There was no such thing as Crisposporidium. God knows we might have been Crisposporidium sandwiches for all I know, but we had them anyway. And what effect did they have on any of us? Not one bit. And that was life. So that wasn't so much rose-tinted glasses. You had the one pair of shoes, and you had the one pair of Wellingtons, and you had the one pair of pants, and there was nothing fanciful about any of those things.
When I couldn't sleep last night, one of the things that dawned on me, if this conversation was being had in 50 years' time, would people look back and say, I remember now the Game Boy and the screen that I used at that? Will it have the nostalgia?
No, it will have a different meaning, Fran, because already we had a bit of it this morning, in relation to social media. Facebook is gone. We're now gone on to something else. We're now gone on to something else. We're now gone on to something else. This is what's happening.
So there will always be a nostalgia.
There will, and we're always gone on. We're now gone on to electric cars.
Where is it going to end? All right, thanks to Phil and to Carl and to Joe. Excellent panel,
thanks,
guys, and thank you very much indeed for that. That's it for me. Leanne produced, Ali looks after content. Stephen has the time tunnel on the lunchtime show, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.